Appreciate everyone who is able to join us. It's just a second to figure out. I think we're good. Yeah, okay, great. My name is Katina Rogers. I'm president of CEC 15 this year. As you can see, we've got a lot of folks who are not here yet. So I know we have some members who are on their way and others who unfortunately are not able to make it this evening. Let's see, why don't we go through the preliminaries? Maybe a few people will make it in the meantime.
I think a lot of them said they would be here in the next 10 minutes.
Perfect. Okay. So why don't we start with the interpreters? Could we please have the Bangla interpreter introduce yourself and share the language information for folks who may be on the call?
Sure, thank you. শুভ সন্ধ্যা সবাইকে। আপনারা যদি এই অনুষ্ঠান বাংলায় শুনতে চান আপনারা ডায়াল করতে পারেন 347-966-4114। নাম্বারটা আবার হলো 347-966-4114। তারপর আপনারা একটা আইডি নাম্বার দিবেন, ওটা হলো 704-728-627#। ধন্যবাদ। Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have the Chinese interpreter please share the language information?
Yes. 大家好，如果你需要这个国语的翻译的话，你可以打电话去347-966-4114，然后 ID 号码是798-468-630，然后再来一次，如果你需要这个国语的翻译的话，请打电话去347-966-4114，然后 ID 号码是798-468-630，谢谢。Mandarin announcement is finished. Thank you.
Thank you. And could we have the Spanish interpreter share the information, please?
Bienvenidos para escuchar esta reunión en español. Favor llamar al número 347-966-4114, seguido del código 1099926668, signo numeral. Les solicitamos mantener en modo silencio los micrófonos de sus teléfonos en Zoom y así evitaremos interrupciones durante la reunión y la interpretación. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate you all being here. Councilmember Kim Wallace, could you read the public comment protocol, please?
Surely. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's in-person meeting will include a public comment period at the end of the meeting. When you comment, please comment on the topic. Respect the privacy of others, and please do not include names of children or staff. Guests who make inappropriate comments will be removed from the meeting. During the public meeting period, those attending virtually may raise their hand to comment or indicate in the chat that they would like to speak. Speakers will be called one at a time and will be allowed 1 minute each for comment. We will hear as many speakers as the time allows. If you have a question outside of this comment period, please signal it by raising your hand or writing it in the chat. If time permits, we will respond to these additional questions that arise at other times. It is possible that not every comment or question will be given time, in which case we encourage you to write the CEC at cec15@schools.nyc.gov. CEC members will also be given a comment period. Members will be called upon and are each permitted 1 2-minute comment or question. Do you want me to do the roll call?
Sure, would you mind? That'd be great, thank you.
It's gonna take a long time.
Yeah.
Angela Cesario.
She has an excused absence.
Angelica, sorry.
Mhm.
Council member Jonathan Davis.
Here.
Council member Elton Dodson.
Just tendered his resignation, which I'll mention in my
Okay.
remarks.
Council member Ken Edie.
Is going to join us online, I think.
Okay.
Absent.
Councilmember Angelica Janadandin.
Jadanandan, not here yet.
Councilmember Basil
Krymandal,
Cremandall.
has an excused absence. Childcare,
Councilmember Katina Rogers.
I'm here.
Councilmember Kim Wanless, myself. Councilmember Singh Shah.
Chingsa Shu, she's on her way.
Okay. Councilmember Carol Zingwangler.
Swirling. Muller. Yeah.
Swirling Muller.
She's parking.
Parking, okay,
So,
that's close.
so we do not have quorum, which I want to mention at the top of the meeting because it's that we have one item that's up for a vote on our agenda today, which is a name change for PS 172. For the PS 172 community folks who are on the call, I think we're going to have to either have the vote at our February meeting, which I know is getting close to the deadline by which this needs to be submitted, or we can talk offline about a special meeting. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I want to pass things over to our hosts for a welcome, and then I'll give my CEC report. But I'd like to welcome Assistant Principal Christine Caruso. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, good evening. My name is Christine Caruso. I'm one of the assistant principals here at PS 230. To my left is my esteemed colleague, Jennifer Caputo. She's also one of the assistant principals here at PS 230. We just want to welcome you and say thank you for all of the work that you do. We know that you care for our community, schools, and students. And say thank you for choosing us as your space. We appreciate it, and you are welcome here anytime. And just let us know if you need anything. We'll be off to the side or in my office.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
everybody who's here, including you all, please grab some pizza if you'd like
No,
something to
thank you.
eat. There's water over there. We know these meetings get long, so we want to make sure everybody's comfortable. Okay, hi. We have Angelica Jadanandan joining us now.
I love that jacket.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I will be really brief in my intro tonight. I just want to say thank you again to PS 230 for hosting us today for our first meeting of 2026. I will keep this brief so that we can get to the business of the evening, which includes a report from Superintendent Alvarez, a discussion with Tamar Smith from the School Construction Authority and her colleagues who are here with us in the room, and preparations during the business portion of our meeting for the upcoming legislative breakfast, which will be taking place on January 20th. As we start a new year, I want to acknowledge that the challenges of the past year have not gone away. And at the same time, 2026 brings the possibility of some new beginnings as we're starting this year, both with a new mayor and, as has been recently announced, with a new chancellor, Kamar Samuels, who's a longtime New York City schools leader. CEC 15 looks forward to working with Chancellor Samuels, a longtime leader in the schools. We would also like to extend our thanks and appreciation to outgoing Chancellor Melissa Aviles Ramos, who has been a strong partner with parent leaders. And in fact, we've been receiving responses from the outgoing chancellor to the community questions that we didn't have time to address during the recent town hall. And I'll be sharing those out shortly. But all of that is to say that while our federal government is very much unchanged as we enter this new year, I'm hopeful that the new city level leadership will have a meaningful impact on education equity across the city. In terms of CEC news, as I just mentioned, I have just learned that Councilmember Elton Dodson has resigned from his seat on the council. I want to extend my thanks to Elton for his service to the council and to New York City schools more broadly. This also means that we will have a vacancy on the council that we'll be looking to fill. And again, this is news that we just received this evening, so I don't know any more yet about that process, but I'll make sure that we inform the community about what that will look like. And finally, I want to share the good news that Councilmember Angelica Cesario is not here tonight because her family welcomed baby Isabel on January 7th. Nickname is Izzy. Baby Izzy is doing great. They've been in the hospital a bit longer than expected, but things are looking good and they should be going home today. And Angelica says that Izzy is doing very well and that the big siblings are both very excited to welcome her home. All right, so with that, I think I will pass it to Superintendent Alvarez for your report. We've got plenty of space up here. If you want to join us.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, right. All right, I'll just get started as we're getting the PowerPoint up. Welcome to the new year. That's part of the slide, so I'll just get into that. This is also MLK month. Just to be clear, our district is doing we work with City Harvest every year for in-service work. Students representing all of our schools will be participating this Thursday at City Harvest, which is located in our district on 53rd and 2nd Avenue. Students are going to be working with understanding what City Harvest does and how that impacts a community. So they are going to be packing things themselves for food insecure families that live within the district. So it's a great way for us to show how we're providing back to our community. Students also learn what City Harvest is and what they do. And our Equity Council is usually on there, which are Youth Equity Council, which will be doing some work on that. So we're excited about that. As we look forward to February, we have President's Day, we have Valentine's Day, and then also Black History Month. Just to recognize that Black History Month, while we may be celebrating and going into more details about what that means, that's part of our history along the way. So it's not just 1 month we celebrate, but 1 month we take more time to look deeper into the contributions from our community members. On the next slide, you're going to see our day of service, which again, I shared with you is January 15th. Our elementary school students will be there from 10 to 12:30. And then our middle and high school students will be there from 2 to 4:30. As we think about that, yesterday we were able to take 400 students from our district that represented all of our elementary schools to students and parents to see Oklahoma at Carnegie Hall yesterday, last night. So you're seeing some images of the event that was at Carnegie Hall with several students, educators and administrators and chaperones. They're all aligned. With that being said, on the next slide, you're going to see that all students in the cast of Aladdin, every year we do a production as a district-wide event. This year's Aladdin will be attending, this year's students will be attending the Broadway show Aladdin on March 11th and March 12th. March 11th will be for the elementary schools that will be at a matinee time with parents and chaperones. I will be announcing this tomorrow to them. Many of them are not aware. More than likely, the students are not on tonight, so they don't know that this is going to happen, but we're going to be taking them to see the show. Last year, we saw the show after the show. This year, we're going to see it before the show. We're hoping that the students learn something from the show that they can bring back to their own show that they're going to have in April. So we're excited about that. On the next slide, yeah, you can keep going down. I'm going a little fast too, I'm just realizing, so go back up. Those pictures are not there, don't worry about that. So the next one is New York City Solves. That's the math curricula that we're doing in terms of our middle schools, in terms of conceptual understanding in mathematics. We had a visit to middle school 88, which was, I'll just finish for you. Middle school 88, which was presenting their work on how they've been moving the math in their particular school. They've been particularly excited about middle school 88 because middle school 88 has been doing the conceptual understanding with IM, illustrative math, for the past this is now the 6th year. And we're seeing complete steady growth in mathematics at MS 88. And so it's what we consider our hidden gem, a school that's doing such phenomenal work in moving students academically from where they start when they get to her school. So we were excited about that, and she was able to showcase that work. We also had a PS10 welcoming Deputy Borough President Kim Council, who supports yeah, our borough president, sorry. I don't know what happened there just now, but our borough president in terms of leading the work that's happening in Brooklyn. So she shares, every year she goes to PS10 and works with the student council to get them to understand the importance of civic duties. And so we were excited about that. Now we'll go into the priorities. You're in the Spanish version. That's okay. that's good to see that we actually have it translated. As I talked to a lot of my superintendent colleagues, we're the only district that translates. Not only do we provide a PowerPoint, but we're the only district that translates the PowerPoints in the languages in our community. So I think that we're at the forefront of the work around what CEC needs to be and how it continues to move forward citywide. So hopefully this gives some pressure to my other colleagues to be able to do kind of this work so that we're ensuring that our community is informed. So the DCEP priority we're going to focus on today is really the parent engagement piece and talking about what we're doing around parent engagement. And one of the goals on slide 11 talks about increasing the rate of attendees that utilize the simultaneous interpretation for district town halls and family workshops. In other words, we've been trying to have not only making sure that we have interpretation at our PDs, but also trying to do professional development or workshops that are in the native language of the community that's preferred the language. So we've had Chinese workshops, we've had Spanish workshops. We're working on looking at how much we can get to do some Bengali workshops so that families can come in and.
You slow down just a little bit.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay, thank you.
And learn in their native languages. So we've been doing a lot of work with that. We've increased our percentage of participants as a result of ensuring that the workshops are provided in the native language first, which we recognize would get more output. One of the things I'm thinking about, and you'll see that in the next slide, but I'll talk about it now, is this concept around targeted workshops. So what we do now is we provide workshops, we make it school-wide, and then we give workshops, and PCs are always involved in creating those workshops and supporting the school and putting workshops. And I think in my first year, I said I'd like to see more workshops, meaning I would like to see more parents out. And that translated to having just more workshops. But what I recognize is that when I go to schools, one of the things I'm seeing is that more workshops, same parents. And so I grappled with how do we support parents who need to support their children in a particular area. From my perspective, the same way that we can call a parent to complain about something, the same way that we can call a parent up when a child's being suspended or being removed or in trouble, the same way we call parents up for when we're celebrating them for an attendance award or most improvement award or an honors, or the same way we invite a parent to see a show when the kid's having, is the same way we have to target parents to come up for these specialized workshops. And what I mean by specialized workshops, if there's a group of students who are struggling in a particular area, then we're not posting it out to everyone. We're calling those specific families to come in for support in that particular area and working with them in a small group, 20, 30 minutes, because we're not trying to take an hour out of their time when they barely have the time to do it, and showing them one or two simple strategies that can support them. We're talking about strategies for kids who are advanced in their class and saying, okay, we're going to do an advanced workshop where if your kid is on 3rd grade but functioning in 4th grade mathematics, let's pull them in and support them where their strengths are and keep building on those strengths. So really thinking about how are we doing targeted workshops to support the different needs of the different students that we have in our community. It's almost like creating a play date around academics or instruction, but the way that we're trying to do it is that when we're teaching you how to do these with your children, there's simple things that can be done at home. They can be done in any language, right? Math is universal, so it can be done in any particular language. The language is not the important part. It's the more of the working with the child and working with the skills involved. So that's something to come that we're thinking about next year. I know PCs have been concerned about that because they think that they're going to have to do the actual instruction PD, but that's not the way we're thinking about it. We're thinking about showing them how to use the caregiver's guide that we've created and how to use that as a tool to create a workshop around 1 or 2 pages of that whole guide, right? And going deeper with those particular kids. So that's the concept that we're thinking about going forward. That way, it can be tailored based on language. It can be tailored based on several other things, right?
And what are PCs?
Sorry, thank you for that. Jonathan's always gonna give me that. Our parent coordinators who support our parents at the school level. On the next slide, we're talking about the increase in family members' attendance at our town halls and at our family workshops. We've increased it by 5%. In a district as large as ours, an increase of anything is always great. So 5% increase is great. Can we do better? Absolutely. And I think that when we start doing these targeted workshops, it's going to be more engaging for parents because now we're differentiating for the different levels of where children are. And so it's going to be engaging with the child and the parent in a different way. Also, it's going to be students who are at the same level as that same kid. So you don't feel like you're coming to a PD where K through 5 is being spoken about, but you want to go deeper around K, or you want to go deeper around 5. And there's a huge gaps to try to go deep in a 1 hour time with several parents. So it's now would be more targeted, if that makes sense. And then the last real goal was, and I've talked about this before, is the account setups for the Save for College. So effective on January 5th, when we returned, it opened up to now go to the new kindergartners for this particular school year. So now we are all the way from K to 4. So we were at about 46%. We dropped down to 37.8%, but the drop is because we now have all these new accounts we have to activate for all these new kindergartners. So in the process of helping families understand to activate these accounts for the college Save for College program, which puts $125 per student into an account that is savings, so that when they graduate elementary school, or if they don't graduate, when they turn 18, they receive these funds to be able to do what they need to do with it, whether it's for school books, whether it's for anything that they're going to need in their college career readiness. In addition to that, it can be matched with a 529. For those of you who don't know what a 529 is, these are these accounts that are essentially savings accounts for children that build and collect interest, so that parents are finding ways to save money for their children's college early on. These 529s can also support in matching the Save for College. Now, one added benefit to our district that's unique from other districts is that in District 15, we've been able to add $1,000 for students who are coming from the Red Hook community, which have been historically marginalized since the beginning of time, right? And so that community's scholarship starts at $1,000. But that's because of the backing of the non-for-profit organizations that have committed to putting that funding into those scholarship accounts for those particular students. So we're particularly excited about that, where when we talk about equity, that's another form of equity, right? Kids are getting 125, but this group who's been historically marginalized, who hasn't been able to move out of historic poverty, now has the opportunity to have a better starting place so that they're being able to be balanced with other kids across our district. In the next slides, 2 slides, you're going to hear about the Summer Rising. Summer Rising sites are going to be the same sites. We have PS24, which we were contemplating closing, but we're not. They're still going to be able to put their outdoor rendering for their schoolyard that we're expecting to still do. PS32 will continue to have the ESY program, which is the 12-month special ed program. It houses District 15 students, but it also includes Districts 13, 14, and some District 16 students in that program. Denise Watson, who's the principal of 32, will be running that program with 2 assistant principals. One will be an ESY assistant principal, and the other one will be the Summer Rising principal. We have MS 88, who will be led by Principal Aileen Mitchell. By the way, PS24, what I mentioned, is going to be led by Wanda Ramirez, the principal of PS1. At PS94, it will all be Christina Gonzalez. At K142, which is also known as BNS, Brooklyn New School, it will be run by Diane Castellucci. At K437, you have several schools at this particular site. This is PS130. We're working to see who the leader is going to be for there. We have K655, which is where Brooklyn High School of the Arts is. Brooklyn High School of the Arts will be with 497, which is Boerum Hill High School for International Studies. Please note that the middle school students for Boerum Hill will be going to another site, which is 88. The high school students will be going to the 656 campus because they have to have programming for high school courses. And then we have 136 that will be run by Myrna Gonzalez at 136, 821, and 428 will be participating there. We're working on the assistant principals, but we're fortunate in this district. We always find the resources and the people to run our programs, and they work collaboratively and consistently. So we're already starting to think about summer school now. Our next slide is just some upcoming events. We have a few family workshops that are from 6 p.m. and they're virtual. We have a social emotional learning virtual workshop that's on February 10th. We have a conflict resolution one on April 14th, and we have a mental health one on May 12th. just some information that on Wednesdays, they have workshops for parents to understand how to activate and to view their child's NISCA account, where they can see where their Save for College funding is and how it grows over time. So any parents who want to participate in that workshop, the link is going to be on there is nyckr.org/events. Parents can register, go on there on Wednesdays and learn about not only activating your account, seeing the account, seeing how it grows, and the whole purpose behind the actual account itself. That's not right. The next slide, we're really talking about the art showcase. On February 12th, Thursday, February 12th, we'll have an art showcase then.
Yeah, we have the updated dates in the chat.
Okay.
Because some of the flyers aren't.
Yeah, the updated dates are in the chat because some of the flyers are not on here. We try to give the presentation a day or two before, but sometimes new things come up and we want to give you the latest things so that those are added after. You will get the updated PowerPoints, but what we try to do is give the presentations in advance so that the CEC members here have access to, you know, prepare themselves for any questions they may have. And then we also want to make sure that from Kinsha, who's speaks Chinese as her primary language, that she has access to that information ahead so that she can prepare herself for these meetings as well. So sometimes you're going to see presentations will come out and there'll be some updated things. We'll make sure you get the updated presentations going forward. Our project-based learning work share this year is going to be March 25th. Location is still to be determined, but that's the date, March 25th. So we look excited. We are excited about that. Our next one is our Aladdin Junior, which you'll see, and that's not the updated one, but that's okay. The Aladdin Junior one is on April 24th, a Friday, and Saturday, April 25th. This year, we're going to be hosting it at the Bishop Ford campus, which is where our middle school 442 and our early childhood center K280 is, right off of the Prospect Expressway near 10th Avenue. Next slide. So beyond access, a parent's guide to early intervention programs, pre-K school education, and kindergarten IEP process. That's on tomorrow night at 7 to 8 p.m. There's a link. We'll throw this, if we could just throw this PowerPoint into the chat, that will also help as well. There's a Zoom link that you can register. This is hosted by the Special Ed Office at Central to help families better understand early intervention programs. That means the intervention programs before children even start school. Then the preschool education programs within our schools or not our schools, because some of them, you might see an early childhood program that's not in a public school, but they might be part of the public school system. And so this is to help understand from ages 3 to 5, how to support students with disabilities and developmental delays at that point. Just for everyone to know that kindergarten enrollment process starts Friday, January 23rd. The application, ends. The application process closes on January 23rd. That's your last opportunity to apply for a seat for kindergarten for September. Tuesday, March 31st, kindergarten offers will be released. So by the 31st of March, families will know where they've been given a seat. That doesn't mean that that's the only seat you'll have an opportunity to. If you're on a wait list, there's opportunities for that. And there's also students who are incoming after these application processes are over to be able to eventually enroll into schools over the counter at schools or family welcome centers to place their children. In terms of the 3K and pre-K process, 3K and pre-K applications opens tomorrow for 3K and pre-K students. Friday, February 27th, the 3K and pre-K applications will close. Pre-K offers will be offered on May 12th, and 3K offers will be offered on May 19th. So that's the process. On the PowerPoint slide, you will see a link that you can click on to go on to get deeper information. In that slide, when you go there, you'll be able to see it in 180 different languages. So in case you need it in another language for you, there's access to that. And I think that's it for today.
Great, thank you. Perfect. I'll save the questions.
Yeah, sure.
Kim, you want to lead our question process?
Oh, surely. I'll start with the online.
Sure.
Okay, Do we have anyone, joining us virtually on the Lingala, Spanish, or, Mandarin lines that are interested in asking a question or making a comment?
No
There are no
question from the
questions.
language line.
Same in Bengali.
No question in the Mandarin line.
Okay. All right, so then we'll go to our audience live.
Or anyone
Audience?
else on Zoom, if you have a question.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
Any-
okay.
yeah.
Just raise your hand, just raise your hand or mention it in the chat and we'll keep an eye on it.
Yes.
Sorry to
we'll go-
cut you off.
Okay, so live audience, anyone have a question or comment?
These
Or a
questions are
chance-
only in relation to what you presented?
Yes.
For now, yeah.
Yes.
Well, sure, I have.
Mm-hmm.
The day of service, is it coordinated, which schools and which kids are participating?
every-
Is it during the school
So
day?
every one of our schools participate. It's a day of service. That's a District 15 priority for us. We're trying to teach students how to find ways to give back to their own communities, and learn about what it means to have, some civil service, right? And so the idea came about ensuring that all schools participate. So this initiative was also developed through our Equity Youth Council, who came up with some ideas of some things that we can do as a district to be not only collaborative across all of our schools, because our district is wide and broad, to get kids to come together to learn from one another and learn each other, but in a way that also gives back to their community. We chose City Harvest because it actually sits in District 15. And they're one of the largest distributors of food for families who have food insecurities. And so our students participate, every single school has participants. The majority of the students who come, because you could imagine with 22,000 students, we can't have everyone go. So we have a lot of the members of our schools that are part of the elected bodies within each school, whether they're in student government, whether they're in the Equity Youth Council. And so representation, now it is from a certain grade, we go from 4th grade up. What's unique about this for you to know is that when we first started this, City Harvest would only allow for students in the 10th grade or above to participate in this. We have gotten them to go all the way down to 5th grade because they saw how mature our 5th graders were when we experimented with it. And so now they've gone down as low as 5th grade participating. So one year we did apples, another year it's another thing that and so the food that they are able to prepare on that day is utilized for that week for families within the community. So they're kind of serving themselves. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Audience, live audience, in-person audience? Okay, do we have any questions on the Zoom? No?
No, it doesn't look like it.
Okay, so at this time, we'd like any council members who would have any questions or comments to just raise your hand and recognize you. Okay, Jonathan?
So it's not actually about the specific presentation, but more follow-up from last meeting.
Okay.
I know we had talked at the last meeting about getting more support for families navigating the special education evaluation process and the costs of it and how to do that. So I was wondering if you had any updates, when we might be able to move forward with helping.
So there's a few ways that we've been targeting that. So Michelle Ortiz, who's my family leadership coordinator, has been working with already PCs and having conversations about having some of those workshops at schools. We're waiting for a few dates that are coming from the special ed office at Central. So once I get those dates, I won't wait for the meeting. I'll just make sure we share it to Shanice so that she can share it distributed wide. We'll also share it on our website. We also have our AZ meeting that the special ed providers at the schools participate in, and we've been giving them that information as well. That's why you heard me announce a little bit about the pre-elementary school special ed processes.
Yeah.
That was something that we were able to get them to do, which is why we presented it this month. But we'll continue to, as it happens, we'll continue to ongoingly provide you with the dates as they become available.
Thank you. Anyone else on the council members? Yeah, Bettina?
What should we be anticipating with the transition in chancellor and I mean, you may be
Yeah.
waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, so in a sense, we are waiting to see what happens. Right
Mhm.
now, our chancellors gave us some clear directives on where our focus is. One of the foci are the continuing the work around NYC reads, continuing some of the work around NYC solves. Superintendents and deputy superintendent getting more deeply involved in the what and the why behind the work. And so we're doing a lot of soul searching around what we're doing and why we're doing it and putting more of our energy as to what we want to see happening. We have been reconfiguring some of our team to meet those expectations. As it relates to the integration that you heard from Chancellor Samuels, we've already been doing that. We are a diversity plan district. We have already increased the number of schools that are integrated. Our middle schools went from being the worst, number 32, to being number 19, and still working towards ways to integrate us. We've been doing the integration through our district priorities and initiatives that we've been working on as a district to bring elementary schools, for example, to be more inclusive, even though they are semi-segregated by their zoning and where they are. We've been finding ways to bring them together so that they're learning from one another before getting to middle school. And a lot of the class size stuff are some of the ways that you've heard Chancellor Samuels already talk about in the media recently of ways to help figure more creative ways to integrate our schools. I've kind of already been doing that. We've talked about this when we were talking about, for example, PS 10 and 295. We talked about some other schools that we've been thinking about how do we find ways to even further integrate. We've been integrating a lot more with our D75 and being more inclusive with our D75 programs and being more intentional about what the D75 programs look like. Those are the main priorities that he has shared thus far. I would imagine that as he's reviewing all 32 districts in the next 60 days, that he will want to know more and see and create his understanding of what he wants to move forward based on his parents, based on his view of what parents are asking for. What I can say is that a major thing that he's been talking about is how are we listening to parents more and engaging parents in the process of how do we move our district forward. I think that in District 15, we've been doing that work even before it was a thought. And so I think that we're kind of spearheading that work. And I look forward to when he does visit to inviting the CEC members, President's Council members to that actual visit of the school when he visits that school, so that we can debrief after the visit and we can share some of our thoughts on how we see that happening. Because as you know, we won't have another chancellor's visit for another 2 years, right? Legally.
Yeah.
So one of the ways he wants to make sure that every district is still having voice in some of his decision-making is when he does a school visit in our district to invite you all, if you're able to come or who can, and invite the different parent constituencies so that he could hear your voice at least during that school visit. So I look forward to sharing that with you in the next 50 something days now, because he's already been a chancellor for at least a week, 2 weeks. So yeah.
Okay, great. Any questions from anyone else? I'll go last. I have a very simple question regarding the parent workshops district-wide. What are the general numbers? I know you said there was a 5% increase.
Let me get the numbers. I don't have that in my head. I will get that for you and email it to you by tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll get you some of the numbers by tomorrow. The numbers aren't as high as I would like to see, as I said to you before, and as transparent as I can be. It's the same parents that often come to our workshops, which is why we have to take a different approach to the workshops.
So the approach that you're taking sounds similar to what Title I used to have to do.
Yeah.
Right, to target particular students based on their needs and those parents. Coming in.
Yeah, and just to expand that, I want to do that, but I also want to expand to what are some of the enrichment needs that are necessary for some kids who might be advanced, because we don't want to leave those students behind from getting services and support as well.
Right.
So my goal is to have schools start thinking about who are those students and what PDs are you bringing them to, and making them smaller groups, but more intentional about what they're getting in that small group. That way a parent doesn't feel like they're wasting their time to hear things. For example, if the meeting is predominantly 5th grade parents and there's a 3rd grade parent there, how does the 3rd grade parent feel they're being supported with helping their kid?
Right.
It's a waste of their time in some sense. And so they don't want to show up. And so we want to close that gap.
Well, thank you for updating us on the goals in terms of your progress.
Absolutely.
Before we step away from the
Yeah.
vote, can I just ask a process question
Yeah.
for the name change vote, for 172?
Mhm.
We have to have quorum for the CEC
Yes.
to be able to vote.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And
just
and
wanted to
essentially what the
confirm.
process is to identify if you're okay with the change in the name, because we want to make sure that the elected body of the parent constituency across the district is okay with that change.
Okay.
Just to give context about this one, this change is about naming the school after someone who was institutional at that school who passed away 2 years ago that we all know. That was a pillar of the community. I mean, she had 4 generations of family members that she's had go through that school community, and it would be a great blessing to have it, especially since right now the name of the school is the Beacon School.
Very general.
There could be a lot more value in naming it after someone who has literally nurtured hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families up until her last day.
Well, I know we have a number of PS 172 community members and school leaders with us on Zoom, and I just want to say in the context of that I'm very sorry that we can't take one step further towards that change. But we'll still hold time for you on the agenda at the spot where we've got it. And I'll follow up with you all separately about what we can do in terms of next steps. All right, thank you so much, Superintendent.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, just before we shift over to the School Construction Authority presentation, City Council member Alexa Aviles has joined us on Zoom and asked if she might have a few moments. Is that all right with the council?
Just so that you all know, Ms. Aviles is one of those people she's had the privilege of having with.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's fabulous. Wow. All right, Councilmember Aviles, over to you if you're able to come off mute.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sounds great.
Great. So again, just thank you to the whole CEC team for all the work that you're doing to support our schools, our children, our families. Sometimes thankless work, but I truly, truly am grateful. So thank you all. I just wanted to, it sounds like, I'm not sure if this will be moving forward, but many of you know I was the PTA president in PS 172 for 10 years and worked very closely with Annette Hendrickson. She was honestly the principal, the janitor, the nurse, the teachers, was everything to that school community and to the larger community to whom she cared for generations of kids and families. And so it would be, my honor and privilege to be able to have a school that lifts up that incredible, incredible legacy. So I hope this will be able to move forward, and I am in absolute support of this. So keep me posted on what the next steps are. I just also want to say, our city continues to struggle with ICE, immigration issues across the city. I know the schools are certainly have set up resources, but just want to continue to encourage to please reach out to our offices if there are other things that we can be supporting and guiding. And lastly, we will certainly be reaching out to all the school communities and definitely to CEC as we are moving into budget time to really make sure we dig deep on the places where we're meeting the mark and those where we need some more advocacy. So we'll definitely be in touch on the capital side. I'm eager to hear the school construction authorities briefing, but also on the expense side and the things we need to do for our children. So thank you and all the parents who are attending so much for all your work. And thank you, Superintendent Alvarez, for being an excellent administrator. Take care, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Many thanks to you and your office for all the work you do. It's deeply appreciated. We know how firmly grounded you are in the community, and it's very inspiring for all of us in the work that we're doing with the school district. So thank you for being here. Shall we let the 172 folks speak for a moment if they would like to, and then release them since they're here really just for that. Would that be all right if we do an agenda, just shift those two items on the agenda? And then tomorrow we'll have you speak in just a few moments. But if anybody else from the PS 172 community would like to say anything tonight, even though we're not able to vote, I would just open the floor to you all to share that now. And Principal Gunderson, I see that you came off mute. Yeah.
Hi. Good evening. Thanks so much for giving us this space tonight to talk about Mrs. Annette Hendrickson. Annette Hendrickson, I think Alexa said it best, she was sort of the center of our school. She was a student at PS 172. She sent all 4 of her children to PS 172. She was our PTA president for many years. She shifted to becoming a school aide and then a supervising school aide, and finally found her niche as PS 172's very first parent coordinator. To say that she was the center of our school building would be sort of diminishing the work that she did there. She had every parent's phone number, and parents knew they could call her at any time of day, weekend, night, early morning. She was always there to answer that call. She prided herself on the work she did with parents and families, and you could see it in the community she established in our school building. She's really a wonderful example of everything good about New York City public schools. And we know that PS 172 will be richer for having her name attached to our building. Thank you.
It sounds amazing. Thank you. Is there anyone else who might like to speak? Debbie Nickrad, I see that you've come off mute too.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to kind of echo what everyone said about Annette Hendrickson. She's just was a cherished and deeply influential member of our community. Lifelong devotion to making PS 172 a rich place where families and children and teachers and staff and community members were just like eager to come to, and really it turned the school into a family. She was a major part of that. She had a big part in shaping the heart of our school and the character of our school. As Ms. Gunderson shared, she was a student, then she sent her 4 children to our school, and then she, became a staff member. She was a school aide and a supervising school aide, and then our parent coordinator. And like Ms. Gunderson mentioned, her phone was filled with phone numbers of her personal cell phone numbers, and everyone would call her at all hours. It didn't matter what time it was. It didn't matter if it was during the day, if it was a weeknight, if it was a weekend. She was just always available to help anyone and everyone with anything that they needed. And renaming the school in honor of her would just stand as a real lasting tribute to all of the service that she provided 172 families and community across the years, and just be a mark of the lasting, profound impact she had on generations of families there. So be a really special commemoration.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, did you say that you're a parent in the school community or a teacher? I didn't catch your affiliation.
I'm the assistant principal at PS 172.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And I'm really sorry to the school community for your loss. I know it's not as fresh, but I'm sure that it's clearly still something that's deeply felt. Any other remarks from 172 community members?
If I could just make a quick remark.
Sure. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. My name is Ben Stockman. I'm a parent of 2 kids at 172. And in my very first experience with Annette Hendrickson was in the summer before my first child enrolled. I found the parent coordinator number either online or by contacting the school in I believe it was July or August. And I called the number, and Annette picked up on the first ring and began the conversation in a way that suggested to me that the school was a place worth sending my child. And so, that tiny little detail and anecdote really, and I was probably number 5,000 of the parents that had ever called that cell number. So I can obviously she had a very distinct way of talking and, pretty hardcore Brooklyn accent. And I can still hear in my mind from that phone call. So I've worked in city government. I know that the wheels of government move slowly, and wasn't on the beginning of the call, so I'm not sure why. I heard there was that we don't have a quorum, but I just really strongly hope that this renaming can move forward with a little more speed than the construction at the school has moved forward over the years. And so if there's anything that you need from the parents to make that happen, just let us know. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. You just made the school construction authority folks in the room cringe.
I said, ouch.
Yeah, well, let me tell
I
you.
caught a stray. No,
Listen,
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, no, not attacking you at all. I totally get it. But I have a fifth grader who's never seen the facade of the school. So
let's
get her done, baby.
Through that.
Thank you all.
Thank you. I feel very confident that, the council is going to support this. It's clearly what the community wants, and I'm just sorry that we can't make it happen tonight.
I just wanted to say if by any chance there could be maybe a collection of signatures or something that we could do just to advance it, a little faster, or something else, an idea that we could bring out to the rest of the community, not only the parents who are currently there, but maybe the rest of the community who live there as well. So maybe just an idea there, because she was very much loved and appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I think for this particular bureaucratic step, you all need a vote from the CEC, which is very much like we have to have people here in person.
Could they submit something in writing, or did they submit something?
They submitted something in writing to the superintendent already. Yeah, so their ducks are definitely all in a row.
So do
on
we get a
moving this
copy of that?
forward.
Is there a deadline?
There's a deadline in March, I believe. So
we should be good in February.
We should be good in February, but I don't know if there are other stages that it needs to go through after us. So yeah.
If it gets absent, or there's not enough people, what happened today? If it happens on February, what's the next step, just to be prepared?
Right. In that case, we would need to schedule a special session to hold a vote. I'm also wondering, and I'll talk with the council about this offline, but we have the legislative breakfast coming up on the 23rd. I wonder if we could have a quick vote at the beginning of that.
I think it needs to be a public.
This will be announced publicly.
Right.
Yeah.
Shanice, does that seem like we could convene at the legislative breakfast, because it'll be on Zoom already, right?
Yep.
So maybe right at the end of it or beginning, we can do
to announce it. We need to announce it as a
the
special meeting.
legislative breakfast is not on Zoom. So would we need to offer it to be on Zoom as a public meeting, as a special session to vote on this?
I think that I need to look at this with face and figure out exactly what the rules are around it, but I think it's probably, yeah.
I just want to say, with this new council, this is the very first time we have not reached
I
a
know,
quorum.
I'm so disappointed.
So whereas the previous, Anthony's on, and maybe he can help us.
Yeah, so to vote, it has to be a public meeting that anybody can join. So if both in public and hybrid. So if you're limiting who can enter your legislative breakfast, then you cannot have the vote. If it's
open to the public,
everybody and anybody can join, then you can.
And I would just add, if you need PS 172 members to show up virtually on Zoom for the breakfast, we're happy to do that.
Amazing.
Do we need to offer a Zoom option, Anthony, for that meeting?
For the voting session, if it's in your bylaws that you have hybrid meetings, then yes, you would have to follow.
I have to check that because I'm actually not sure that the meetings have to be hybrid.
I don't think they have to be hybrid. I think that we've said once we have, they may be hybrid once we
I
have
can double
more.
check for you as well. I would just have to check that out because I don't want to give you an answer yes and then your bylaws say something different, or no, or vice versa. Yeah.
I would love to be able to have it happen at that January 23rd session, just so that we don't risk this, getting delayed. So if you don't mind checking, Anthony. that
Just
would
to
be
put
great.
on the record, I'd like to see the statement that was sent to the superintendent.
Okay.
Can we share that?
Would your office be able to share? I think there were some materials from 172 that went to the district office.
Just about the name
Yeah.
change.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you all so much. So we will, I have loved hearing about the reason for this change and how important, she was to your school community. And we'll look forward to moving this forward for you as quickly as we can. I would like to go ahead to the next agenda item and, invite Tamara Smith from the SCA to share her presentation.
Good
Hi,
evening,
Tamara.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's really great to see you all. I'm going to do a first few little housekeeping items and then I'll share my screen. I first want to introduce myself. I'm Tamara Smith from the School Construction Authority. I'm going a little slow because I saw that note from the interpreters. So that's what I'll be doing there. I'm the External Affairs Manager for the SCA for District 15 and several other districts. I want to thank a couple of my colleagues who came to the school in person. Thank you so much, Addie Ramsander and Reddy Yadim, thank you. I don't know if there are folks here representing the Division for School Facilities. Yes, there are. That's wonderful. Thank you for coming as well. And as we were sending out this deck to the CEC, we also sent a number of other materials that I think people will find interesting. And Katina, perhaps you could share them. Including a presentation that the SCA gave to FACE with FACE to new CEC members a couple of months ago that I think is very interesting and useful. We also sent information about our Public Arts for Public Schools program, our minority and women-owned business program, our IEH pamphlet, which talks about how the SCA handles environmental issues during construction, ResOA, which I think is going to be very useful to everybody. I wanted to share also that I recently saw an email from the Borough President's office that their ResOA process is now open so that schools can apply for funding for projects, and I'll talk about that during my presentation. And I think that's everything that we sent. All right, so I will share my screen and then just let me know if anybody's having any hard time seeing this. You should see the cover page. All right, so can everyone see that? Maybe someone just verbally.
No.
No. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, let me see. All righty, let me make sure.
You guys saw these things in the chat? No? Because she referred to a few items.
How about that? Can everybody see it now?
Not yet.
Now. Okay, there.
Gotcha. You can see it? Great. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm getting pop-ups here because I'm sharing, so I'll just make them smaller. Okay. So what I want to speak with you about tonight is our fiscal year 2025 through 2029 5-year capital plan. And specifically the November 2025 amendment. All right, and I'll talk about what that means in a moment. So the agenda is to give an overview of the November amendment, talk about the plan highlights, capacity program, capital improvement, ResOA projects, MWLBE, and your CEC priority project request. And then I'll take questions and comments. Anything I can't answer off the top of my head, I'll note down and get back to the CEC. But I'll also be sharing my email at the end and some of my colleagues, so you can always write to me directly. Okay, so first to say that the School Construction Authority is the agency that builds adds seats to our system, and updates our current buildings. We are dedicated to building, renovating, and modernizing all of the public schools in New York City. All right, so November 2025 amendment. Why this is important is that the capital plan, while it spans this time period that you're seeing, is a living document. It's updated every year in a twice yearly amendment process. So in November and in February each year, there's an amendment, and what that means is projects are added to the capital plan. And this goes on throughout the 5 years. So right now, after the November 2025 amendment, the total amount in the capital plan is $20.9 billion. And the capital plan is divided into these 4 major categories. So capacity at $6.98 billion are the projects that add seats to the system. That's brand new schools, leases, additions to school buildings, and room renovations, room conversions. The healthy schools category is relatively new for this capital plan at $2.30 billion. And this focuses on projects that improve the sustainability of schools, such as electrification, heating plant upgrades, and also improve the student health and experience, like athletic fields, swimming pools, gymnasium upgrades, and other projects like that. Capital improvement. So these are the projects that we do to existing school buildings. We have 1,300 school buildings and 1,600 facilities in total across the system. At least half of them are 85 years and older, many of them getting on to about 100 years. So this is the category that improves and upgrades our existing buildings. And then for mandated projects, these are projects required by law, state, federal, and city law. This includes insurance, building code compliance, and all kinds of new mandates that come across all the time. All right, so these are some highlights for the city for the current plan. And just highlights, I really recommend that people, if you can, take a look at the capital plan. It's very well written, it's very interesting, and it's very, very clear. But we picked out some things to focus on for this. So our new capacity, again, these are all of the projects that add new seats to our system, $6.13 billion. Electrification, which I mentioned, which is a huge initiative to move forward on electrifying as many schools in the system as possible. You can imagine that's a big challenge because of the age of the buildings, as I was mentioning. Technology at $1.25 billion. This focuses on improving broadband, Wi-Fi connections, and all of the infrastructure for technology. Accessibility, $800 million in the current plan, which matches the $800 million in the former plan, to continue upgrading and making accessible as many of our school buildings as we can. Physical education space upgrades, $40 million given specifically for that. And then a cafeteria enhancement experience. This is a nice program that improves the dining experience for students. All right, and now drilling down even more on just capacity. As we talked about, brand new capacity, but we also have replacement programs. This is for when, for example, we lose a lease and have to find a replacement space for a school. That happens throughout this very large system all the time, as you can imagine. Capacity to support TCU removals. This has been a focus of the last few capital plans, and we're almost at the end of that process. There aren't very many left in the city, but that was a major priority for the last few plans, and we're really nearing the end of that. Playground redevelopment. When we remove a TCU, we often can redevelop and upgrade the space where the TCU was sitting for all those years, and especially if there were several we can devote some money to making that part of the yard attractive and usable. And then early education. Right now, this money is focused on moving ACS programs to the DOE portfolio and improving those physical plants. All right, now to get specifically to District 15 capacity highlights. There are 3 schools or 3 programs in construction for District 15 right now. The intermediate school on Fort Hamilton Parkway that will be opening this September. A District 75 program actually at the educational campus at 519th Street. The superintendent mentioned that earlier. This will be a new program going into that building. And then the intermediate school in Red Hook, which will be opening September 2027. And these are the seats, and total District 75 seats included are 264. And here is a rendering and then an actual building and construction picture of the construction of the intermediate school at Fort Hamilton Parkway. All right, capital improvements. So people want to know, how does something become a project? And I want to point out these different ways that information comes to us, because they all come to the SCA at the same time. All of these ways are in tandem. And there's a lot of data coming in from all those buildings that I mentioned. And the SCA is always looking at the buildings and the issues year round, and then adding projects all the time, and twice a year, many projects are added each year. With all the data that we get. So one of the main tools that we use is called the Building Condition Assessment Survey. So these BCAS, we call that, this is a process where engineers and architects, a whole team goes out from the SCA once a year and walks the building and assesses every single condition of the building, from the roof to the basement and everything in between, gives those items rating, and then we determine whether some of those need to become capital projects. And you can find those for your schools by looking at the DOE's website at each school. And then there's a reports section, a reports tab, and the BCAS survey can be found there. And they're very interesting and very thorough. So I recommend you take a look. We also get lots of projects reported to us and referred to us by the Division for School Facilities. Now, DSF is part of DOE, separate from the SCA, but our agencies work together to identify issues in school buildings. And the Division for School Facilities are the people who are in the buildings every day, the custodians, the directors of facilities for the boroughs, and they do the intense work of maintaining these buildings on a day-to-day level. And they do a lot of repairs as well and smaller projects. But when projects become very large or too costly, they may be referred to the SCA. Another way is mandated repairs. So those are mayoral initiatives or laws that change, asbestos remediation, abatement of lead paint, and other projects required by local laws. Then there are ResAway funded projects. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit later, but these are school-specific projects that are funded by your elected officials, like Councilmember Aviles, the borough president, and those are great complements to the capital plan. And then the CEC makes requests each year, which we consider adding as capital projects as well. And now always remember the kinds of projects that the SCA does are very large, extensive projects. And these are some examples: exterior masonry, windows and parapets and flood elimination, roof replacements, All of these have in common, by the way, the effort to keep water out of buildings, because that really speeds up deterioration of our buildings. And that's a big focus of capital projects. Accessibility, very large playground upgrades, major auditorium upgrades, and gymnasium upgrades as well. All right, so these are some highlights of capital improvements in District 15 schools. And just remember, again, these are highlights, and these are the kinds of projects that the SCA does, and the kinds of number, and the investment that's made in your district. Accessibility, climate control projects, exterior masonry, security camera installations, playground redevelopment, all kinds of important projects for your buildings. And some photos of projects that are done or on their way to being done. PS 131, exterior masonry, roof and flood elimination. Project is just wrapping up. The MS 447, Brooklyn High School of the Arts, exterior masonry, roof and windows are just about finished. A new dance room at PS 261. PS 369 got new windows. PS 29 is in the process of having a full accessibility project. And this is the work that we did in the auditorium to replace all of the seats and add companion seating and other accessibility upgrades to the auditorium, along with the rest of the building. All right, so to Resué, and again, I want to mention I sent what I think will be a very useful brochure to the CEC about Resué projects, including what is capitally eligible and what is not, and that's a good guide in general. And the kinds of projects that can be requested, and the process and the timeline. And again, these are projects that are capitally eligible, school-specific, or enhancement projects funded by New York City elected officials. And here's the Resué budget timeline. So as I was mentioning about the Borough President's Office opening up their Resué, and the City Council members do the same. So January through March, generally elected officials contact schools to identify potential projects, or it can go the other way. Schools can contact their elected officials. City budget negotiations and approvals from May to June. July 1st, the city fiscal year starts. Over the summer to maybe early fall, schools are generally notified of awards, the sponsor meaning the person giving the funding. Late fall to early spring, the SEA receives the final budget authorization from the Office of Management and Budget. Now this is important because until we get that, we can't start to design a project. And so it really depends on OMB's schedule. But about a month following OMB approval, the SEA can begin the project scope and design process, and the schools are contacted by the project team. All right, so here are some District 15 Resué highlights. Again, just highlights. I wanted to let you know that you can also go to the capital plan to see what exactly is in the pipeline for your district. Just in the back, there's an appendix that shows lists by school of projects that are in the pipeline, all different kinds, CIP, Resué, so forth. And these are the kinds of great projects that have been funded for your schools. And here are two recent ones. PS 321, we just finished this a month or two ago. Beautiful playground on the front, and the children's school playground as well. So MWLBE, the reason that we focus on this in the capital plan presentation to you is because the SEA is such a large construction agency and the biggest city in the country. We are also one of the largest agencies to give contracts and training to minority-owned and women-owned and locally based business enterprises, MWLBEs. So we have MWLBE targets, and we run a mentor program which provides support and access to capital and business opportunities for emerging companies. So in District 15, MWLBE highlights in fiscal year 2025, the SEA awarded $29.8 million in prime contracts for CIP work to 5 firms at 5 projects. And this represents 60% of all contracts for CIP work in School District 15. And that's just for this 1 year. Okay, so you know that your CEC priority project request form is due soon, January 16th, and you'll email it to cinput@nycsca.org. We ask that you do 5 top priority projects. If you do some extras, that's fine too, but we ask you to, focus your requests and make sure that you follow these guidelines. First, reviewing capital eligibility and ensure that the project meets the thresholds for capital eligibility and that they aren't maintenance items. And make sure, and then look at the capital plan and review what's already in the pipeline. Don't waste your asking for something that's already there. When you think about what kinds of projects that you want to request, maybe think about how that might be categorized in those 4 categories that I talked about, the main categories. Make sure to review the projects with the principals and the custodians, and make sure again that they're not maintenance items. I know it's frustrating when things are asked for and it turns out that they're really maintenance items handled by DSF and that they're not capitally eligible or the large projects the SEA does. I know that it's very annoying to get that answer back. And then, yes, of course, always consult principals about projects, ensuring that you're agreeing on the priorities. Okay, so prioritizing 5 projects on the request form. There is some room for additional, but we ask, to kind of keep it smaller. I think that might lead to a bit less frustration and more ability on our side to review all of the projects and get back in a more timely manner with lots of good information for you. Remembering that we do major capital renovations only. And then for anything that's not eligible, the principals can request repairs from custodians or DSF. And every year we come out to you with information so that we hope that this is good guidelines for when you're making those requests. All right, and that's it. This is the end of this presentation. This is my information. As I said, I'm happy to answer questions now, but also here's my information. Please contact with me. Contact me directly anytime. I'm always available. This is our External Affairs Director. Oh, and then I wanted to point this out. The Director of ResOA, who's in our Capital Plan Division at the SEA, is a great person to run things by. If your schools are considering asking for ResOA funds, and you're not sure what it might cost or whether it's capitally eligible or what to ask for in terms of funding, Brian McGinn is a great person to talk to, he and his team. So we really recommend that you contact him and just ask him, to talk it through with you, and he'll be able to do that. And any questions you have about your priority request form, you can ask directly to our Capital Plan Division because that's who sends out that request form to you. Again, it's cinput@nycsca.org. All right, so now I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions or comments on the translation lines? That's Bangla, Spanish, and Mandarin.
There are no questions on the Bangla line. Same.
There's no question on the Spanish line either.
Okay, do we have any questions from anyone else on Zoom, attending virtually? You can raise your hand or put the question in the chat. I think there was one, okay.
So
You wanna read?
that's about PS 172.
Oh,
Read
okay.
afterwards.
Okay. All right, any questions about the presentation from SCA? Okay, in person, are there any questions? Okay, we could go to the council members after we address audience members. Any questions? Okay, Councilman.
I wants to know how long will it take to remove the construction outside around the school? Sometimes the outside instruction like take like 1 year or 2 years. That you see some that affects the parents choose people to schools. Sometimes the parents this construction or sit there like 2 or 3 years, so they maybe choose people to schools.
Okay. Did you hear that question?
It was a little bit hard,
Okay.
but I understood it was about the scaffolding and bridging around buildings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally understand. And a lot of times we're doing those projects to make the school safe and comfortable and, last another 100 years, but we are mindful that that does not look attractive. And sometimes it lingers if a project is delayed. So I can only apologize for that and say that for as many projects as possible, and they do take a few years to do, to be realistic. 2 to 3 years is not unusual for a very large building to get completely renovated and fixed. But I understand what you're saying. And it's very annoying and not difficult for schools when it lingers for a long time. I know.
Can I add something to this? Not to pile on, but as a parent at a school that also has scaffolding outside of it, I would just say that one of the main frustrations is just not knowing the process and where things stand. And oftentimes when we get information from our principal and from SCA, and then we explain it and communicate it to our parents, people get it. They understand this stuff takes a while. So I don't know, maybe this is the case and it's just not the case at 516, but I feel like private construction sites and city construction sites have updates about where things stand and renderings about what things will look like. That kind of like proactive communication, I feel like could go a long way towards parents just being on board with what you're up to.
Understood. We do hold 3 meetings per month with the school leader. And give updates to the principal at every one of those. But I understand what you're saying. And when we have certain kinds of projects, we do have signs and we have a lot of updates. But I will say that anytime anybody wants an update about anything, your school, write to me. I'm happy to give that. But I wanted to let you know that our project officers regularly meet, with the school to give them updates. But I hear what you're saying, that you find that more information would be good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
thank
I just
you.
think a sign on the construction that just says this is where we stand and this is where we're headed could go a long way to just answering questions before they kind of even bubble up.
I kind of second that. I'm sorry to interrupt. And if the sign, at least the date could be like, I don't know, even in Spanish or something, I even for the principals or something like that to do, because even children, students are wondering, when is that coming down? Am I going to actually see you by the time I graduate?
Got you.
So it's just a matter of, I know that most of the signs are in English, and I know it's probably too much to ask, but a lot of folks are asking, and maybe getting bombarded by just not having an idea, set estimated date. I know everything gets, but I think people will definitely understand if they just attend to these meetings and stuff. And I know not everyone could do, but maybe thinking outside the box, having an idea to go about, that would be nice. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions on from the council members? Katina or Kara?
Yeah, I always have questions. Sorry. Kara, did you have a question? No, okay. It's okay?
Yeah, go
Okay,
for
all
it.
right. So my question is about part of this list submission process from the CECs. It's something that our council takes very seriously. I'm sure all the councils do. Council members have been meeting with school leaders over the past months. We dedicated almost the entirety of our previous meeting to what was really a painstaking process of deciding what these top 5 priorities should be, knowing that all of the needs that school leaders are surfacing are critical to student learning and to the communities that each school serves. And so we put a lot of time and energy and care into this. I understand that, we're meant to be surfacing projects that are not already part of that VCAS list. However, as you're hearing tonight, many of the needs that we hear from school leaders are about projects that, for whatever reason, are either not moving forward as quickly as they had hoped, or where there have been problems, as was the case a couple of years ago at PS 15, last year rather. And so I guess one question that I have is, what is our mechanism for advocating for those school needs that are already on the BCAS list, that are already identified as a need, but that seem to be hitting a roadblock? And then my second question regarding those CEC lists is, I'm wondering if you would be able to give a ballpark, citywide across the schools districts, how many of these CEC identified projects have moved forward into an execution phase with the SCA, because we really only have the information from our council and the number has not been high. And I'm wondering if that has to do, we always try to share our list with DSF first to make sure that we're identifying things appropriately. But I just want to make sure that we're using our advocacy effectively, because it doesn't always feel that our voice is getting us anywhere.
Okay, so the first part, just correct me if I'm wrong, I wrote it down. The mechanism for advocating for needs that that aren't moving forward right now. That might be, let's say you see something in a BCAS report or a school field. So the CEC priority request is not the only way to get in touch with us. I've been doing this for 10 years almost, right? Working with all of the CEC, Camille and Antonia and all the CEC folks before you. And they always felt free, and you should feel free, and all of you, and really anybody in this room at all, should feel free to write in at any time to say, there's really an issue here at this school, and let's talk it over. Is this something that can be a capital project? And we will take that request seriously. Now, if I say, well, it turns out this is really a maintenance item, you've got to talk to, the principal really needs to talk to the deputy director of facilities, for instance, or this is something that we just don't have funding for. I know the funding, it seems so huge, and it seems silly to say, well, we can't prioritize that. But actually, over 5 years and 5 boroughs and 1,300 school buildings, there are a lot of projects that are already happening. And we might say, is this something that could be a Res-O-A project, for instance? So we'll talk it through with you. This isn't a contentious, or it doesn't have to be, this could be a process where we discuss something and say, well, here are some ways to focus on that. Or it could turn out it's already in the pipeline. And then I'd happily tell you that, like, this is in scope. It's not in the capital plan just yet, but it's going to happen. And here's a timeline for it. So there are lots of different ways that things can happen, or we can discuss it. So I'm happy to do that at any time. And if I don't know the answer, I have lots of colleagues who can weigh in.
So I just wanted to follow up before you get to Katina's second part, because I'm I think one part of what she was asking, which I was going to ask as well, is there are multiple projects that we have been told are in the pipeline by schools that we're working with, yet there is literally no movement. And so the schools don't know what's happening. They're like, somebody talked to us once, but then it's been another 6 months. They still don't know what's gonna happen. And it's
Okay.
it's a part of your pipeline, but the process is taking so long for these needs that are imminent that they have no clue in terms of what a realistic timeline is for instance, upgrading bathrooms at PS 130 that was on our priority list for years and finally approved last year as a project, and they've still heard nothing other than like somebody coming once and they didn't know what was going on.
Well, they definitely should get in touch directly. I mean, really, because if that's true, and if somebody talked to somebody, I could find out who was this person who talked to you and said what, and like, let's iron this out. I'm sorry to hear that, and that's very frustrating. It could sometimes be that projects are, like I said, given funding, for example, through ResOA, but if OMB hasn't released things and given us, then we just don't even know about it yet. So that can happen, and that definitely can be delayed. There was a time when we would get, for example, ResOA information from OMB in September, and that hasn't happened in quite some time. It's being, so that's those projects. Other projects are in design, and a team has talked to them, but it takes a while to do. So, but I don't know, not hearing exactly what it is. But please, like, ask your questions directly. I will do everything in my power to clear up the mystery, because that is just so frustrating. And people need to feel free to say, hey, I heard about this, and what gives? That's what we're here for, and I'm happy to do that. I hope that answers that a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. I know there was a second part to your question.
Yes. So the second part is, so I do not have at my fingertips that percentage, but I can get it for you.
Okay, I'd be very curious. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
You're done with your question?
Yeah. So, some related questions to that, just in terms of, as Katina had mentioned, we've had some frustration with the whole process of prioritizing, because we feel like we've really tried to vet all of the prioritized projects with DSF, make sure they're all capital projects. And year after year, very few of them are actually selected to be chosen as part of new capital projects. And so if you could just talk a little bit more about how you are prioritizing what is actually selected based on our recommendations, DSS recommendations, your BCAS reports, and then how does that relate to things like ADA, which is, there are certain ADA compliance issues at so many of the schools that we know really should be mandated but aren't happening, and then accountability for all of that. So I know it's a lot of pieces, but it's a lot of layers of frustration that we in the schools have been experiencing for quite some time.
Understood. So one thing to say is, as I pointed out, all of that data comes to us constantly. The BCAS reports, information from DSF, information from you all, my parents and principals and school folks, the superintendents, the mayor's office, right? All flooding in constantly, and having to do with an extremely, what we call them our historic schools, old, very functioning, but stock of buildings, which we must maintain, and with DSF as well, and heavily used and constantly occupied. So yeah, you're right. We do have to prioritize among all of that. And for example, I'll give you an example of accessibility. So 100 years ago, accessibility was not thought of, and in the most terrible way. And we have been making major strides to addressing that. However, it's slow. And it's frustrating because you're right. Every single school building should be completely accessible. However, these projects are also extremely challenging and very intrusive. So it's sort of like, be careful what you ask for, but it's necessary. We have to do it. So when we go into a school and we, bring an accessible project, which by the way is recommended to us or told to us by the DOE who chooses the buildings, identifies the ones that are appropriate for upgrading. We swoop in a 2 to 3 year process. We touch about every single inch of the building. Tremendously challenging and large projects, but that doesn't make that more important than the science lab and the yard and the swimming pool and the gym that everybody uses every day. And then there are projects that simply are straight health and safety. Anything leaking in the building, the water tightness I talked about, the projects that are just not as interesting and, kind of glamorous. Yeah, the HVAC system and the roof and the parapets and all that. So you're right. There's a tremendous amount of work to do and a lot of prioritizing that has to happen all the time. And the BCAS is a kind of a good guide to that because there is a rating system, and things that are 1s, 2s, and 3s are generally in pretty decent shape. And 4s and 5s are very likely to get prioritized. So all of those huge projects have to be done, and they have to be done constantly. And then there's all the rest of it. And every single thing is a priority to somebody. We really do get that. And your requests, I will say, are among all of those other things. And so we do have to prioritize. And I know many of us would like to see a lot more of the projects that people focus on and ask for done. And you're not the first CEC to be frustrated by this. We really do understand. But you're right, there is a prioritization that has to happen across 32 districts. And we do our best each year to have a really robust system where we add projects, like I was saying. But it's true that not everything is going to get done. It's just true. But as much as possible to keep our buildings safe, functioning, watertight, ADA accessible, and rich environments for the kids, we do. So I do recommend that you take a look at the capital plan. I'm sure folks here in this room have done that, but if you haven't, please do, just to get an idea of what is being done all the time. And maybe that explains a little bit of why that happens, that there are requests that aren't answered. But anyway, our goal is to get to more of them if we possibly can.
Just to add what Tamara says.
Yeah.
In the accessibility program, when you go into a school to do an accessibility project, you have to make everything accessible, up to the bathrooms, ramps, elevator. So it takes time to do the design to get to that point, because you're going to look at how much classroom you will take away, what is the space required to do this work. That is the reason why it takes so long to do the design and to get the construction.
Yes, thanks, Addie. And he knows, he's the deputy chief for Brooklyn Construction. And if anybody knows, the hard work it takes, it's Addie and his crew. But the design is something that I think people don't kind of think a lot about, because you see us, we have construction on our name, we are doing the work. When a building is swathed from top to bottom, that's us annoying everyone. But we're not doing it just for our own whims. We're doing it through a process, and the design is actually an extremely important part of these. And sometimes when you mentioned that somebody mentioned something to a principal once, but then it hasn't happened, sometimes I suspect that that's the design process moving forward, where there are many meetings and many updates. But I also know that schools have a lot of work of their own to do, and they're not construction professionals, and we don't expect that. And then we come along with a whole other wrinkle, a whole other set of things that we're going to be there and you have to deal with. So we are always happy to improve our communication methods, and to get feedback on that is absolutely fine. We expect that and we want to do better. But thank you, Addie, for adding that information in.
And thank you for saying that, because I think communication is key as well. I know our principals and our assistant principals, everyone from the schools, they do a lot already. So it's good to keep this in mind as well, and prioritize this as well, these meetings. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we do have another council member, Kara, who wants to make a
I just
comment.
had one, I guess I'm not really sure if it's a question or a comment, but I was kind of cross-referencing the list in the document that you provided of all the things that are going on in our district vis-a-vis kind of the information that we collected from principals. And it does seem like over and over, there are things on the list that are labeled as SCA where principals are saying, somebody came once or twice, we think we're on the list, SCA is taking care of it, and then it is not, in fact, on this list at all. So if you guys talk to a principal and then decide not to take on a project, does anybody close the loop with the school and tell them? Because these principals all think this stuff is happening and they're not looking for alternate funding because they think SCA has already taken it on. Like I haven't.
So I'm gonna stop you. That is just, yeah, that's frustrating. That must be frustrating to go through, and it's frustrating to hear, but actually that isn't how it works. We don't go and talk to schools about projects and say we're doing a project, and then the only time that may happen is if there's a Reso-A funded project, let's say an auditorium, and we get some funding from an elected official, and then we realize, and everybody realizes, the project is going to take more funding. Then we go back to the elected official and say that, but we haven't yet. So that's the only time something like that might happen. But we're not the funders of the project. And I do agree with you. I think in that case, if you're talking about Reso-A projects, that we could all tighten up our, letting the schools know that this is what's going on. This is why there's a delay. But in terms of capital improvement projects, the ones that are just right straight from the capital plan, I don't think I've ever heard of us approaching a school saying a project's going to happen and then it's not. So I just ask, please have people talk to us directly, say, what school, what project that they heard about, who talked to them, and then we will figure that out.
Any other comments, council members? Just circling back to Zoom. No. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Tamar, thank you so much for your time and for explaining all of this to us. Thank you both so much for being here in person and speaking with us. I know, I can imagine these are not the most fun meetings of your day. But we really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. Thank you so much for being here as well from DSF. I'm so sorry. Construction stuff is so complicated, and we know that there's almost no construction project that like people are enjoying while it's happening, right? They're always disruptive, they're always costly, and so we appreciate the chance to talk all these things through. Thank you.
First of all, I've had tons of fun, so I don't know what you're talking about. No, I actually, this is the job. We want things to always improve. But there are times when we realize we've got to do a better job of communicating, and then there are times when we can say, "Hey, we did tell you this," like, a reminder. But we don't see this as contentious. This is just the way it is. You're right. Projects they're difficult. They're large. And they intrude on the buildings, and we understand that, but they're also really, really important for the functioning and for these buildings to stay up another, like I said, these are 100-year buildings, which is something we're really so proud of when we build a new building, and we maintain the ones that are standing. And so That's important to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And I've been really glad to see that all 3 seats on the Board of Trustees are filled, which was not the case when we were kind of at this point last year. And appreciate the, the added efforts towards accountability. So thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. If you, please feel free to, if you don't need to stay through the whole thing.
All right, well, I'll say good night then, and thank you. And please do reach out to me directly anytime.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be hearing from us. Thank you,
Good
Tamara.
night, everyone. All
Thank
right,
you.
take care.
Keep in mind on
Bye-bye.
172. Okay, thank you.
Move to,
General public comment and then a quick break.
yes.
Yeah, adjourn the calendar meeting. I know you have been waiting to say something.
Oh,
for
no,
so
I'm
long.
just here.
Oh, okay.
But I also have something to say, but
Okay.
just about to go through your process.
Okay,
I think that's where we're at.
yeah, okay, good evening again. Do we have anyone on the translation lines who have a public comment, any topic that you wanted to bring up, as well as anyone attending virtually that would like to comment? Please raise your hand and or put a comment in the chat.
No comments in the Spanish line.
No comments in Bengali line.
No questions or comments in the Mandarin line.
And there is something on the chat that you answered already, or you want to bring it up?
Kira or Kyra, are you still on the line? Would you like to voice your comment out loud? If not, I can read it. I'm not sure if they're still here.
I don't think they are.
So this was another comment from the PS 172 community. This person says, I know I'm late, but I wanted to share what an extraordinary leader Mrs. Hendrickson was in our school and broader community. I can speak for my family in saying that she offered invaluable guidance and unwavering support and was always available to help us navigate whatever challenges we were facing. Her presence made a meaningful difference in our lives, and we are deeply grateful for everything she did and who she was. We miss her terribly. We can't think of a more fitting tribute than to have her name associated with the school, as she was such an integral part of the school community. Thank you to Kyra or Kira for that comment.
Thank you. Anyone live in person have a comment or question?
Yeah, can I
Sure.
share one thing? So my name's Jody. I'm the PTA co-president at PS 516, which is on 4th Avenue. And well, you had a meeting there a couple of months ago, right down the street from 172. So it's been nice to hear all these stories. And we're trying to, one of I or Fanny is trying to come to all the meetings. So I didn't just come here sitting waiting to offer this comment. This is just part of the gig. But I think people know we've been fighting this after school funding fight for a while, and I've been in touch with a lot of you, and I was able to catch the superintendent and bend his ear a little bit. But that we have this we have our specific question about funding for our CFL, Center for Family Life funded program, and the federal funding got basically doged for all intents and purposes, taken away, and so we're trying to figure out what local, expanded local resources there are. And we have a question under the new administration of just kind of when the administration talks about prioritizing childcare, which I think is true. I believe them. Does that extend to things like after school, beyond just pre-K and, so that's what I said to the superintendent, and we're just still trying to navigate that. A lot of it runs through DYCD the commissioner of DYCD hasn't been named yet. So, any intel about how to kind of map this new administration and hopefully take them up on their commitment to expanding childcare, would be useful.
There's one idea, and I brought this up at previous meetings, is the borough president his education person said that we as a CEC can request funding through ResOA that is district-wide. And I know that this isn't necessarily a ResOA project, but it would be, he wants to have these signature ways to pay for initiatives across a district. So he did that in District 13 with, I think it was hydroponics stuff in schools, but you know, maybe that could be one of our asks of Reynoso's office of like, hey, could you help better support equitable after school programming across District 15? And that can be a signature.
And, you know, Alexa is very involved here, so I mean, we can certainly work on that. That's a great idea. You know, we'll pull on any lever for us.
Yeah.
But actually, sorry, do you have anything? I just want to also say can I say one other thing that's just not a request but you know, I wanted to just say that in Sunset Park, we've been seeing ramped up ice activity 4 or 5 times a day. One of our community members is snatched up. Our school community at 516 has been really engaged in it. A lot of it is flowing through the PTA. And so I just wanted to kind of just say this out loud and say that like this is not the time to operate in silos. And so if you hear of, I mean, I know there's only so much that an official body can do and that the DOE can do. But if you hear of other parent groups that are coordinating and engaged, just let us know, you know, and I mean, I think we've figured some things out. We've been experimenting with walking school bus effort where we have parents walking together to and from school in order to kind of provide safety and solidarity. But I'm sure there's other parent groups out there and school communities that are sort of activating in this moment. And I would love to just like learn lessons and meet up and show solidarity and all that stuff. So you know, as much as you can help facilitate that, that'd be great.
God, it's thank you for doing that.
Is it something that we can look at in terms of a working group or?
I think one of the challenges is that when things arise, there's so much urgency and sensitivity around it that like the parameters of how working groups function are just so slow. We can maybe speak a little after. I mean, there's rapid response signal chats that I'm sure you're already
we're
in it. Yeah, okay. And like South Brooklyn Mutual Aid. Yeah, okay. So those
yeah, I mean, I think it's more just, you know, if and when you know, the crackdown really, you know, ramps up. The thing I think that a parent community can offer is not necessarily rapid response intervention on the ground, but more the kind of solidarity of like, we walk to school together, or it seems like today's drop off is or pickup is going to be like a scary moment for a lot of our most vulnerable families. Let's mobilize with a pre-existing plan to be out there to walk together, be together, or you know, and so forth. So that's the kind of stuff we're trying to think about and plan for.
So I went to a meeting for the Undocumented Women's Fund. They have I hope I say this correctly, but it's basically a concept of these care circles and how to support people and like how to make sure that you created these circles of care before something happened, and any organization can kind of use that model, can figure out how to structure it so that all of this is just immediately able to activate. I would definitely reach out to them. It was really, they're specifically trying to target District 15 as well as one of the communities of the city. They were great. They were really responsive and really doing very good work.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, we have had a couple conversations, and tomorrow at our SLT meeting, we're going to sort of talk about this with our school, and I'm sure every school is navigating this. But, you know, we also like feel like we need to have a plan for just within a school. If a family member is, you know, detained, what is the process by which the school community, both in an official capacity and in a kind of care social capacity, is there to support that family? But, you know, this is the time to make those plans and be ready. But, you know, I think everyone is feeling a little like they're doing it in a bit of a silo. And so I just would love any facilitation you can do.
I just want to make one comment. I was watching something earlier today, and it made me realize that we all need to have the Constitution in our pocket. Yeah. So the ACLU has this small pocket Constitution booklet. It's amazing that we need it, but that's the time that we're in.
Yeah.
Would there be a way, just kind of thinking on the fly, but would there be a way for us to just send out an email blast with the request to have group, if you have a group in your school community or something, to then contact this one, you know, I don't know, Jody, if you want to be a point person or like some point person. So it's not necessarily us facilitating, but we can use our voice and reach to say like, hey, if anybody is doing this work in your own community, you know, Jody and from 516 and others are looking to connect, and here's how you can do it.
That'd be great. I mean, I've tried to do a little of that work, and to some, you know, I've had some success just within the kind of like, we have a lot of schools right in our part of Sunset Park. And I think you know this, but part of the challenge or the thing to recognize is that like every school, the sort of center of gravity for that is different in every school. So like in our school, it's the PTA that feels like the place where all those conversations are happening. Other schools, I think it's probably through the parent coordinator. Other schools, it might be through a principal, or it might be through, I don't know, like the basketball team or something. And so that's been the tough thing for me to figure out. It's not as simple as like, oh, email all the PTA presidents and you'll get on all the.
Our email goes to all of them, right?
Yeah.
It goes to the administration
and the parent coordinator,
But
and the
specifically,
PTA.
But specifically framing it like, where are these conversations happening in your school?
Right, and those people can reach out to, so it may be up to you to tell us who the core would be for them to reach out to.
Sure.
I think the other hurdle in organizing is, I don't know, like some of the sensitivities around like how visible those groups and those centers of gravity are. And so like in some cases, people are totally comfortable connecting with others, and in other cases, they
don't want to.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And I mean, you know, we've really been focused on kind of building the community within our with our specific school, but you know, and I mean, we're not going to solve this problem for all of D15 or even all of Sunset Park, but even just looking at like for us, you know, 35th Street to 45th Street, 3rd Avenue to 6th Avenue. I mean, there's, you know, 6 elementary schools and 4 middle schools, and like, there's no reason why we can't try and have a little solidarity within that, just that group. We're all walking to school together at the same time. We're all, CFL is running programs in all of those schools. So like, that's the kind of expansion that we're looking at.
That makes a ton of sense.
But anyway, I'm not, you know, there's no concrete demands here. I know we're all navigating this, but I just wanted to sort of offer that like any kind of coordination can do with that.
Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much.
No pressure.
I mean, I'm here just listening. I mean, if I've learned anything from Namdami, I think knocking on people's doors in a radius block of, would you be willing to show up at this time? Just to walk. I mean, I know I don't have kids in school yet, they're still too young, but if I knew from that time just to be on the street walking with kids, I would do it.
Yeah,
You know?
for sure.
And I don't know if that's something that the CEC can do and send out a flyer just to know, hey, during these hours, if you could be on the street walking with kids towards direction towards school.
Yeah.
Might create a force that you don't know willing to do there.
Yeah, we had a meeting this
We're
past
gonna have
Saturday.
to- I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
We're gonna have to move on.
Of
We
course,
have a
that's fine.
whole nother meeting after.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. And you signed in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when we get your information, we'll follow up.
Great, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll see you at the President's Council.
Thanks for being here.
I'll be a liaison and you'll see my face.
All right, why don't we adjourn the calendar meeting at 8:31? Let's take 5 minutes and then reconvene.
second.
Yes, thank you. We'll reconvene at 8:35, 8:40.
Okay.
Take a minute, stand up, get some water, get some food.
I'm sorry, interpreters, we have a question. We have parents. Do you want us to wait or you dismissing the interpreters?
Let's see, is anybody on the interpretation one?
Or Spanish?
Either the third or the fourth meeting of the month. I don't know if I got the January. I don't know. Well, date yet, because
Oh, really?
it might be the 26th. Yeah, but
I'm just having been good about coming to those meetings. You think they're worth it?
So Mandarin interpretation, we definitely will still need. That's you. Okay. So if the Mandarin interpreters could stay, that would be really helpful. But Spanish and Bangla, I think you can head out. Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
so much. Thank you.
Have
Have
a
a
good
good night.
day. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Oh,
Angelica, it's just like, no,
Like the worst thing for you.
yeah.
Oh, like, we should have done it. Just like-
Yeah.
Sorry. It is what it is. It'll take a few months. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. All right, thanks to everyone who has stuck with us. We are calling the business meeting to order at 8:42. We will try to move with purpose through this part. It's just us in the room now, so I might pause and like bend the tables around a little so we can see each other. The main thing to talk about is legislative breakfast planning because it is somehow next week.
Next week, Friday.
Next week,
Yeah.
Friday. And there have been heroic efforts made, but we are not out of the woods yet. So, Angelica, do you want to walk us through kind of where we are and what needs to happen?
Yeah, in my head, everything's ready to go.
Thank you, first of all. Thank you for spearheading this.
Huge things.
I'm pulling up the whole checklist. The registration, let's see how many. We're only at 27 people registered.
Mhm. I think the biggest thing that needs to happen is communication at this point, which Kara and I talked about today. There's like a couple of different components of communication that I think are really important right now. One, which Kara is working on, is reaching out to elected officials' offices to confirm who's going to be there. Part of what's really important about this is agenda setting. I wanted to talk with folks here while we're together about what those clusters of speakers look like. Right now we have the draft set up so that there's like a parent or community member, a couple of elected officials, and then another parent or community member. Another way we could do that would be with the same number and type of people, but maybe the elected officials are not giving prepared remarks. Maybe they are
sitting,
like responding to what the community speakers are talking about and offering whatever their responses, their insights. If it works, it could make it feel a little more like a dialogue instead of like a sequence of viewpoints. But before we think about what that might look like logistically, I wanted to see if that even appeals as an idea.
Yeah, I need to process. I'm not sure if I understand.
So instead of right now, it's like a sandwich, like parent, legislative or elected official, three or four of them, and then another parent or teacher.
Right, I'm looking at it.
Okay, cool. So instead of doing it that, we can have two community speakers and then a panel of elected officials.
So we would have to tell the elected official, we'd like you to come between 10:30 and 10:25 to speak about equity and language access. Or send them an agenda ahead of time saying, please pick the slot you'd like to speak about.
Yeah, so what
I think logistics.
Yeah, logistics for sure. So what I've seen from last year and in the responses that we've gotten so far from the staffers who have written back, the electeds who plan to come, they'll get it on their calendar. They want to know from us when they're speaking, how long they're speaking, and to see a run of show so that if they are only going to be there for 5 minutes, they know which 5 minutes to come for. So I think that a way to do it, if we wanted to restructure it, would be to say, we would like you to be a part of a panel responding to like questions from the community about infrastructure and operations. And then, the students who are working towards equitable transportation would speak, someone else would speak, and the elected officials would have a minute to say all the great things their office is doing to try and support that or whatever.
So sitting on a panel for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Are they going to be willing to do that? Is my question.
I don't know. I will say so we did Shanice and I did a building walkthrough with Donovan in the borough president's office, and he did say that most of the other CECs that do legislative breakfasts have a more informal structure. My impression was that elected officials are more likely to come if they have a guaranteed speaking slot. But it also sounds like maybe that's not always the case, that at least in some of these other instances, they come and they circulate to tables where parents are, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
I see, the possibility for more of an informal gathering time if we, put it on the agenda. If we say, like, the breakfast time is meet and greet an elected official, or as they walk in and say, make sure you talk to one parent, one, you know what I'm saying? And we give them something like to go for. And then the sit down official welcome can happen 30 minutes after the actual program started. We're letting them know we're giving you time to circulate amongst folks. Because I think that's what they want to do, to circulate amongst the constituents. They do want speaking points to say, hey, this is what I've done, but I think it helps to circulate. Now, if that happens after or before, I don't know, but I like putting them in the beginning, especially since it's the borough president's office. That's something they might just put on their calendar for first thing that day or whatever. Because at this point, you'll have to give them slots. And then they'll be in a panel. They're not really communicating with anyone. They're just answering questions, but they're not on a one-on-one.
But I don't think they're mutually exclusive, because on the agenda, how it's set up now, we have some breakfast time at the beginning and we have some breaks in between each segment where people can be mingling. And I mean, either they're going to be speaking in a single slot, or we do this as a panel that's a little bit more discussion based. In either case, like those moments where they're part of something more official, they're not having the one-on-one conversations. I don't know what's best.
Yeah, I mean, I see both ways.
Yeah, I think when there were time slots last year, some of them weren't there for their time slot, and then the whole thing gets thrown off. So I think if we give them, like, please be here for a panel for this block of time, which it's not much for 15 minutes, I think maybe we'd have a better turn and a better chance of sticking to the schedule too.
Yeah.
I mean, we could try, right? Like, what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't go well, right?
No, the worst that could happen.
So we've got.
People are like, this is different. No, the fact that we're doing something different, I think that's what we need to publicize, because maybe people are used to just officials coming up and speaking in time with speaking. You know, this forum is gonna be different. It's gonna be more interactive. It's gonna be topic based. It's gonna, you know, that kind of thing.
Can we use the agenda that you've already put together and just convert that to panel discussions and keep it the 25 minutes where, like, hey, this is the 25 minutes for the first theme on equity and language access. So the electeds, you know, they'll be on that panel, will be there, and you can just appoint maybe one person to, like, speak for a minute introducing the topic, and then the rest can be kind of panel based, and then one person to end it. And then the electeds can decide which panel they want to be on. And if they want to choose more than one panel, they can stay in.
I think we need to choose one.
You think choose 4 down?
Have responded
Not
so
many,
far.
4.
Really?
I just
And
went.
But a couple.
Oh,
of
just on
reasons,
that,
like,
some have come in.
I spoke to a lot of people today,
Yeah.
and they were like, yeah, we all talked about that. Let me just make
We
sure.
should have asked Alexa Aviles when she was there.
Yeah, she just was like, we have talked about that like 3 days ago, but the speaker, the schedule is lunch, not sitting at her desk, whatever it is, like everybody's office actually said, yes, we got your invite.
People
Yes,
tend to
we are
show up.
actually talking about that. We are going to come. But they couldn't confirm 100%. They needed to, like, send me something to confirm.
And
So
then
Shanice, some of them are gonna come to you.
in the message that we sent, it asked them to choose which subject they wanted.
Yeah,
to
and they
speak
didn't
about.
do that.
They didn't do that.
No. And so
I think that may be why people didn't respond. Like it was not, like, I think we gave them too many things. Like if they had to think about that, so maybe they didn't respond immediately because it wasn't just like, yes, I will show up.
Or like maybe with the follow-up, it's not which topic, it's like, what time are you free? And then we plug them in based on when they can actually show up.
Or what if we take a first step and build a schedule and
And
say,
just say,
this is what we have you slotted for. Does this work? And if not, we switch.
yeah,
on
I
to
think
the other.
that's a good.
Otherwise, I think we're gonna be
Do you
waiting.
know their agendas well enough, like what they, like I don't. They don't,
Give
you
them
know.
a time slot, like
No, we
equity.
just have to give them a time slot and then
Yeah.
they can say, actually, I'm only available at this time.
That's what I
and
was
they're
just-
just
They move that.
forcing the issue.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think it's just getting them to a point where
I
it's
agree.
really like a yes, no,
Okay.
not a yes, no. And I
And-
have to
or-
ask
Yeah.
the elected which one they want to talk about.
Right.
Right? Like, so I think that was sort of the subtext. They didn't,
Okay.
nobody said that, but
Mhm.
in talking this out right now, I think that might have been part of it.
Okay, so we've agreed that we're gonna go ahead with panel. We're gonna go ahead with time slots that are, inviting, elected officials, official topics that are time slotted. And if they can't that time, then we'll just move them to another time. That's agreed.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
And do you have a list, Kara, of which people are likely to say yes, but
So I don't have it as a list, it's just in
In the
the
notes.
invitations in the notes. I made
got it.
notes on everyone that I spoke to. So it was, I mean,
thank you for doing that.
Shahana, I think is gonna end up coming, Alexa Aviles is gonna end up coming, John Liu, they seemed very positive about the whole thing. And it was somebody else. Oh, and Dan Goldman's office did say that they had talked about it recently.
Can't remember if he came last year.
What?
I can't remember if he came last year.
I think maybe a rep,
Maybe,
possibly.
yeah.
Have we invited the new chancellor?
No.
Can we?
I guess we can.
Sure,
but-
yeah. Chancellor doesn't usually come, but we should.
I mean, why
do it
not?
Anyway, yeah.
It'd be a good,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I heard he wants to go to CEC meetings. Who told me that?
Interesting.
Oh, one of the ladies, who was interested in speaking. So can I bring those?
Yeah, so let's talk about who,
Yeah. I
what the
spoke to-
potential speaking.
Okay,
arrangements
so
are.
we have, I guess I'll start with Anne. Her topic has to do with, the new chancellor's change, or the mayor's initiative to change the role of parent coordinators. I don't know if you see, news articles on that. My only pushback was that since it's just a thought, there's no official, guidelines on it. We don't know exactly what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
But her premise was that traditionally a parent coordinator answered to the principal and did what the principal wanted, and sometimes that may have not been in line with what they wanted to do for the parent or the community.
Mhm.
Now, the mayor is saying that the parent coordinator would work for the community
Mm.
and be an advocate for parents.
Mhm.
So that the role would change to parent advocate, right? Now, what that's gonna look like is interesting. We were talking a little bit about it and Angelica made me realize, that parent coordinators will be there.
Mhm.
And they may want to, chime in on the conversation around what they would like to do as a parent advocate, what their role should look like. Now, where that information would go, who we would follow up, I just didn't want it to be an exercise that is just futile in terms of
Mhm.
follow up. So that was my concern, but I did like the idea of the advocacy piece for
Mhm.
people to speak to.
And is that person who you were speaking with, are they?
She's a PTA president.
Okay.
She's a former parent coordinator herself.
Uh-huh.
And she has children at 295 and MS 443.
Okay. And that would be, which category would you see that fitting into?
We work between instruction and programming and operations and infrastructure.
Mhm. Okay, and what are some of the other
Okay,
topics
the
that have
other
come up?
one
Yeah.
is, electronics and screen time.
Oh, yeah, I feel like we should.
Yeah, that was, Jared Rich. He's the PTA president at 58.
Uh-huh.
I also know that PS, 146, my son's school,
Mhm.
they had a few meetings on this, and there's a point person that
Mhm.
she was supposed to get back to me today, but she didn't, so I'll follow up tomorrow.
Mhm.
So he was a little hesitant, but, so I said, I can partner you with her,
Mhm.
and she's very vocal about it and very
Mhm.
knowledgeable. So we're thinking that would fall under instruction and programming, just
Yeah.
asking, the question of how do we shift children's focus away from, the screen time, the electronics, and what we can do as a PTA or a school community to move that forward.
That seems great, and I know that's something that's on everybody's mind. So.
Yeah. Now you had the transportation folks, right?
Yeah, so there were two people who had reached out to me earlier in the year, and this felt like a place to maybe engage them. One was, it's a student advocacy group, which I really like, being able to, connect with high school students directly. They happen to have a day off of school that day, so some of them can actually come, which is really
Oh, yes,
great.
Regents.
Regents, yeah.
Yeah.
So they have been pushing for expanded access to student Omni cards, because the parameters around Omni cards require you to live a certain distance from the school, which ends up meaning that people who live near their schools but participate in extracurricular activities or whatever don't have access to the same transportation benefits. And I think this pairs in with the ongoing challenges around busing and just the issue of equity around student transportation in general. So I think for folks who are joining us on Zoom, I'm going to try unmuting my screen while we negotiate a tech issue in the background. Apologies if the audio is not good at the moment. Yeah, we don't have too many folks still on besides the interpreters.
And is Lauren Newman for the transportation group?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but does everyone see, I know Angelica has it, in the legislative folder, just say speakers, and I have some of the description.
Cool.
Stuff there. I'll change it up. It's like.
No. Great.
I did already today, because she filled in on the response. And then, turns out, she copied and continued because that's like. Yeah, they could do that. So you want me to mention that? Because I'm gonna send you the email that she sent me, because I'm not.
Yes, please forward it.
Yeah. So I reached out to her, but she signed up. She. And when we reached out.
Or we can keep.
Yep.
Um, So one of the things we added during the breaks was to have different parent-led organizations table and give out materials. I have for PS 39 parents of gender expansive kids. We want to hand out. One of our parents created a zine that has the DOE's language, the gender, like trans student policy, and it's just that same policy, like nothing changed, but like with some artwork by their kid, and to hand that out, and like pronoun pins and things like that. So I think during the breaks will be a good time just for people to get information, have like find resources, and then the parent coordinators that we were talking about, like getting them to write or have a QR code or something like that to voice their concerns or during that time. That will fall on me. So that, like, I'm not trying to put that on anybody else.
So right now, under instruction and programming, we have screens and AI. We have operations and infrastructure with the student transportation.
And then the librarians equal literacy. I was kind of seeing that in instruction and programming, but I'm not sure what you all think. Yeah.
And I messaged them. I think you were on the email. I haven't heard that. That was just
Okay.
Yeah, they've spoken before.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at equity and access. Because we could speak to library books and literacy programs as an equity issue.
Yeah.
Is that angle as well as the parent coordinators and advocacy piece?
I would love a little more clarity from that person about like, just because it sounds a little like, yeah, like disembodied, you know, like I feel like the most powerful community remarks tend to be things that are grounded in like, this is what's happening, you know?
That's what I said to her. I didn't give her a lot of hope.
Okay. I mean, and I like, if they're willing to speak, then like,
But she just information like on the ground unless he went to Raphael and said, okay, can you tell us more?
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're in that place that we
I just don't know if like the policy elements, like the electeds can speak to the policy elements, but I feel like the concrete experience is really what, you know, what the parents and the community members can bring.
Okay.
But if, I don't know, if there's something that she wanted to share around like, no,
nothing specific. She just wanted to bring that to for discussion, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to forget this.
Yeah.
It's not related to the agenda, but in terms of spreading the word, do you think we could have parent coordinators just all send a blast out this week with the RSVP so that?
Yeah, so I think in years past, the invitations have gone out in kind of a staggered way. So they've gone out already to elected officials and principals and parent coordinators, and PTA presidents, but they haven't gone out to the general public yet. But maybe now's the time.
Right. I'm just thinking we're a week away.
Yeah, we're a week away.
Right. So
yeah, and even Antonia hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to give another suggestion with the garden. I know I sent it out to my schools. And I'm gonna follow up with a phone call. And just say, can you just at least send one person, whether trying to get the PTA president or the parent coordinator or a parent who's on the SLT, or you know what I'm saying? So if we can get one person from each one of our schools to show up. Because we got a lot of schools.
Yeah, that's a good idea from our liaison schools.
I think a lot of times people don't register too.
Yeah.
They show up anyway.
So that's why I'm like,
You're not too worried about
yeah,
it.
well, yeah, I know when I went last year, it was just brought up at a PA meeting. They were like, does
Oh.
anybody wanna
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
represent
That's true.
39? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, but I didn't even know there was a registration link,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
I was one of
That's good to
those.
know.
who just-
Yeah, which is why I said, like, I don't remember really receiving much as a parent.
Okay.
And so if this can be just one of the blasts that all parent coordinators send through their apps
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever
true.
the
Yeah.
schools use of just with the link to the Google form,
Uh-huh.
I think we would be more likely to get a couple
Yeah, I remember.
parents, reps from
Okay.
different schools.
My PTA president, she did the same thing. She's like, anybody wanna go?
And I also wonder if other people might pop out of the woodwork that want to
Don't want to
speak,
speak.
because yeah, I mean, I'm just not sure that it has disseminated from those PTA presidents who maybe think that it's just them and haven't like talked about it with other
Yeah.
people.
I guess my concern is when we did an invite to the general public, like for our, Chancellor, like a lot of people come
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
that.
And we can't let it get that.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, if you know that a lot of
Right.
elected officials are in the room, we could get, so we don't have seating for that.
Wait, what's the capacity in that room?
I think they told us 120.
That's it?
It's true.
I mean, that's.
I've always wanted to go, but it's just
How you.
Was it ever like too full? I'm not sure.
We have a different space this year. It's not that same room.
It's not
Oh,
it's not the courtroom.
No, it's the community room,
Uh,
which in some ways is nice because the food will be in the same room. We can have our coffee while we're listening to speakers. There's tables that can be set up in the arrangement that Angelica sent around as opposed to kind of the rigid
Right.
fixed seating.
Audience.
Yeah.
Downside is it's not as big.
Okay.
Not as big, also,
Not
like
as
in the
fancy.
setup that I have, I think I have like a little over 100 seats. I don't think that there's much room to fit much else, so if we, I can email everybody this tomorrow, but if we kind of ask each school to bring a certain number of representatives from their.
Yeah, that is what I remember,
Maybe.
at least from PS10 was saying, 1 to 2 people from the school can
Yeah.
go, our PTA president can't go, like what's
Right.
in that.
Yeah.
So maybe framing the general invitation.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was a smaller, different space.
Yeah,
Um,
1 to 2 is.
one question. I mean, is there like an overarching goal that we are trying to accomplish with this?
I think that, so one of the big goals is because it's capital planning season. So this was something that Donovan mentioned, was having like a QR code that staffers can take back to their person, that connects them to the list of resume requests.
Okay.
And so that's nothing that we're actually going to be talking about, but something that they will hopefully come away thinking, let's do something for the district.
Sorry, could
So-
you add in a QR code with a list of?
All the resume requests, which I need to do when I'm editing the SCA list, I need to break those out into their like categories. So I can do that piece and make a document. I was thinking to try and break it out by city council district, like by which schools are in which city council members jurisdiction. If I can.
So are you gonna include that in your opening remarks, the resume comment?
Yeah, depending on what we end up putting together, I would say something about that. But yeah, I mean, I think overarching goal is getting everybody into a room and making it possible for different kinds of advocacy to happen.
Chisha, did you want to say something?
Shisha wants to know, who can join the legislative breakfast next Friday? Because, she knows someone from organization will try to help the parents have more resources to learn the material.
Yeah, is it one of the organizations who came and spoke at one of our meetings? Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if they would like to speak. We don't have, a clear sense yet of the community speakers around equity and language access. And I know that that organization is doing really good work. So I wonder if we might connect with them and see if they would like to speak, but they would be welcome to come.
What's the organization?
I think it's Center for Family Life. Yeah.
Yes, that
What's
sounds
Center
right.
for Family?
Life.
CFL.
Okay, I think somebody mentioned that today.
They run a lot of community programming in the Sunset Park area.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I didn't mention that Catherine Fitzgerald, the principal of 154,
Mhm.
did sign up about operations and infrastructure.
Mhm.
I emailed her, she didn't respond.
Mhm.
So
I think Kara could follow up.
there you go. I mean, you could just ask her if you're still interested in speaking or being, you have a good idea of what we're doing, so.
And I
So
wonder if
that's
she
the only
realized
person I wasn't able
she
to.
wanted, like, the.
I don't know if she was
trying to sign up, she was just
yeah.
expressing.
Are you texting her, right?
Yeah, that's what I was getting a feeling, she was just.
Go to Parents Square, her.
Parent Square. I don't know what that is. Should I?
Yeah, it's
It's our portal for everything.
Okay.
And messaging, photos.
I've never heard of that one.
I don't use it, but
We use
yes.
it too.
We use,
So I want to be a little mindful of time.
okay, I need to put in. Sorry, I need to put in, what is it called, family, what?
Center for Family
Center for
Life.
Family Life.
Center for Family
But we
Life.
need to have somebody, does Ching Shaw want to reach out or somebody else?
You wanna give me the
Nisha
contact?
has a relationship with
Yeah.
them, I'm
Okay,
sure.
so do you want to let them know to speak with me or, Angelica to finalize coming? Like, not only the date, the time, everything, so we can run down with them. You know, I have explained to them everything that, they need to bring or do. So it's one of us or maybe both of us.
How
'cause I didn't look for
about, Chingsha, I'll draft the email to Center for Family Life and put you on it, like, let's have an email between the three of us. So if they have any questions, I can let them know what the plan is.
Okay, another question about panel, I guess we could do some of this on the chat. We should have at least 2 prepared questions and one from the audience, or just taking questions from the audience. How do you want to do it?
I think that time is gonna go really fast. So I think that we
Just
give the community members their time limit, whatever we
To
want it to
speak,
be,
yeah.
to speak. We go down the row of elected officials and say, give us a 1 to 2 minute response. And I don't think we're gonna have time for questions.
After that, okay.
Yeah, I think we could collect community questions that people want to share with elected officials. But if we want to maintain those breaks in between, I think the breaks is also where some time is gonna bleed over. It's hard to wrangle that many people in 10 minutes.
Right.
And they have all these cool, like, screens around the room, so we can have, I want to incorporate some kind of like live voting or some question so we can just collect the questions that way, like during each break.
Okay.
Yeah, Chisha, I want to know if she will go to the meeting tomorrow, with, the person just talked about it, and know more about the information. After that, they will, talk about, you about the details of how they want to talk, what do they want to talk, and the time.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Thank you. Thanks for keeping that relationship going. That's great.
Okay. All right.
Is there anything else that you need, Angelica?
The totes I ordered, they'll be here on the 21st.
Awesome.
Which will be good
Thank you.
to
Thank
carry.
you for doing that.
Good to carry, all the stuff will be handing out.
Okay, great.
And, I think we're good.
All right, great. So I think behind the scenes, we can, especially like, well, all of us were in, the room, actually. We can keep building out the agenda, by confirming the community speakers and then starting to slot in, maybe you and I can sync up often and just put people in boxes.
Did we, so maybe this is a question more for Shanice, so like the electeds that sent those messages back asking for specific times and agenda, I'm not responding to those people, correct? I'm just getting them to that point.
I think
I haven't responded.
Yeah, you can just get them to that point. I also have not responded to them. I think we need an agenda to be able to send to them.
Alright.
So, yeah.
I just wasn't totally clear if that was, like, I think my watch ends here.
But the people who have responded to the CEC on our program too, are you on those too?
So I'm logging those in the document, but I'm not writing to them.
Just want to make sure you have it in you.
Yes, and I just want to make clear that I have not responded to them.
Maybe what we can do, once we have
I
an
could,
agenda,
but I haven't.
once we have the agenda set, between you, me and Shanice, we can either divide those up or whoever has bandwidth on that day.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Can I be on the email?
Oh, sure.
Can I be on the email
Me
too?
too.
Everybody can be on the email. You want more email?
Yeah, or emails.
Yeah, I can make that happen for you. Great.
Next agenda item?
Yeah, I know that's not like totally set, but I feel better than when we were, okay, amazing. Thank you all so much. I was so stressed about this and I feel.
Team makes it
Yeah.
easy, so we can start the time.
Should we, what's our goal?
I think we could do it online
By Thursday?
What was the question?
She wants a firm agenda time.
Who's going when?
Like a good administrative assistant.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it will, I would say we can have a draft.
Yeah.
And then that'll be our starting point for moving forward. Okay, that works. All right, the next agenda item is SCA priority list, which I actually don't think we have anything we need to do.
Can I give one update?
Yeah.
We already voted on it.
Yeah.
So Raphael wanted me to give this update and I thought about giving it during the calendar meeting, but this seemed like the better place. So one of our top 5 was the annex for PS 107. And what he said was that the SCA and the DOE are in discussion with the Archdiocese about a school building through the Catholic Church that is within a few blocks that they believe can be the annex. And so they are feeling very positive about the direction of the dialogue. They said, Raphael said we should still keep it on our list, but that it does seem very, hopeful.
Maybe we'll actually get something on our list.
We might actually get something on our list.
I've never seen that happen.
So he said he was encouraged.
Sorry, we're still on.
He said he was encouraged
Okay, good. That's great.
by that.
And, Kara pointed out that one of the items we selected is already on the capital plan. But at this point, we don't have quorum to even vote to change it. So I think it just needs to.
Which one was it?
94.
They have a lot of their electrical work.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
Okay, yeah, we don't have to.
Worded exactly the same way, but it's
Right.
electrical upgrades.
Okay.
All right, so Shanice and I will work to move that forward, to get the priorities submitted by the deadline.
So
And then
I guess next
for,
time, we could do 6 and then like if one drops out.
We could
move it
do
up
6.
the
I mean,
other.
she hedged a little on whether it could be 5 or more than 5. so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for next steps, I know Katina, you said that you were gonna work on parsing out the document just in
Yeah.
terms of separating them based on ResOA and others. So should we make it, should we make it a goal to try to send that revised list to all the building principals in the next month or so to say, here is sort of the compiled list. We encourage you to submit anything designated for Resoway to Resoway. And for anything that is SEA to please write Tamar Smith directly with your requests, and then any DSF to write to Anthony, and just like sort of those clear instructions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, and I can help where others can. I don't want to all be on you. It was more just
No, yeah, the timeline makes sense, and like giving people some clear points of
right,
reference.
because the resume is funny. It sounded like it's open now.
Yeah.
It will be open really only for the next 2 months, and
Yeah.
so we want to
So
try
now's the
to
time,
yeah.
Okay, great. Finance report, I don't think there's really anything of note to report. We're doing good.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, usually we just talk about what's left in the
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
You said 20,000?
We have not spent very much money, so that's, I think that's the upshot.
Yeah. I, was speaking with, a group called, Teach Fabulous, or something like that. Who was asking if the CEC sponsors events, like if.
Yes, so we have sometimes in the past. I know last year we held an event, we offered a workshop, but it was like free to us, they didn't charge us money either. I feel like there have been challenges with paying.
Right, so sponsoring them, like providing food. We've done that for District 15 events, and we have a line, the budget for that.
What about for like, say a parent workshop that the person who's giving the workshop has a fee? Could we pay that organization to give a parent workshop? Was it going to be 15 parents?
If they are a vendor.
If they're,
yeah, if they have to be able to have a vendor number, with DOE in order for them to pay.
okay, but it's possible in theory, just some.
Forgot what it's.
Last year, we gave back a significant amount of the budget, so we have room in the budget.
Yes, yeah.
Can we buy Know Your Rights brochures, like booklets?
Yeah.
When it comes to the budget, do we want to try to spend as much as we can? Do we want to, what's the goal, to give back?
No, we want to spend everything. Yeah. No, but there are deadlines coming up soon.
Yeah,
for-
March.
For reallocating funds. So if you have ideas for how to move money, I think we need to make those decisions by the February meeting. Is that correct, Shanice?
So.
By February, okay.
I have ideas, like students who can't afford uniforms, we used to put money aside for students who can't afford, like, I don't know, notebooks and stuff we provide, but doing something for parents where they get information, but their food is provided. I feel like we need to do more than just like these official meetings to get parents really connected, because I just feel disconnected. People see me at meetings like, oh, you're in CEC, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still Kim, It's like, it's not a lofty thing, it's just we're all parents, just have kids in the school too.
Yeah.
So how do we kind of get in to the community and let them see that we want to touch base with them and address what their needs are directly?
Maybe I can start a list where anybody can share, like, if we have ideas on where we spend our money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Internal stuff too, like if we wanted to pursue web hosting changes and stuff, we've got enough money for it, so.
Yeah, the people, they
They never got that. Huh.
I just
Right.
took it as we were tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, and then anything, anything that's money related, we should stay in really close communication with Shanice, because I will say that's like, CUNY was like this too, like, the system makes it difficult for you to spend the money
Yeah.
for a reason, and so there are sometimes things that we would like to do that we just like can't. So anyway, the two hurdles are bureaucratic hurdles and then bandwidth of folks in the room and who can, who feels like they can take stuff in, so. But yeah, at least having like a list of like a wish list. Then we know what we want to do if we can. All right, and then the rest of the stuff I figured we would not have time for us, but I just wanted to leave it on here so we don't forget for the next meeting. Working groups, we have planned to start like rolling that out with more intention through the avenue of the legislative breakfast. So Kim has like a really nice description and registration form that can go out to our public list. And
can you QR code that for our meeting?
I think it was in the registration asking if
I know it's in the registration, but that day, since we're gonna get
yeah,
people
for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
walk in,
and like at the tables,
Yeah.
That lots of people responded yes, that they would want to join us.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
I noticed that.
Yay, that's awesome. So hopefully by next meeting, we'll have some ideas for how to start.
Like the real rollout.
Yeah, like
Get it going.
actual working groups, yeah. We have a bunch of pending resolutions that folks have volunteered to work on. Thank you all for volunteering to do that. These do not have deadlines associated with them. But obviously there are things that are important to us. So, as you're able to move them forward, we will bring them to meetings and vote to approve them. I had another request today. Well, a couple of other ones have come in. Well, it doesn't matter. I'll just send them to people as they come and we can decide what we want to take up and move on. I think that's it. Is that all? Any comments, questions?
Great job.
Okay.
I feel like I feel bad, and maybe I should say this after, but the last 3 meetings that have taken place at my home school here have not had quorum.
No.
Yeah.
Shoot.
I don't know.
I was
It's a
afraid you weren't
wonderful
gonna-
school. I was worried too. I mean, I was gonna make it. It's
In
happening.
Albany, you couldn't be here
Yeah.
anyway.
That's where he is.
Elton.
Yeah.
Elton.
I know, and we'll have to think about, we have to do it, there's a
whole process,
It's a
yeah.
huge pain.
Who's our other lawyer? We said we had
Angelica.
Angelica C.
Not this one.
The other Angelica.
And Ken,
And Ken.
the 3 lawyers, huh?
Yeah.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna motion to adjourn at 9:30 exactly.
Yay.
Second? Okay, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Did it.
I feel so frazzled.
No, you're good.
I am just like trip next week, Tuesday, Wednesday.